Chapter 370. Chu Yang's eyelids drooped as he stared at the tiles in front of him. However, his attention was always on Lin Feng. This was because he felt incomparable fear, and the source of this fear was the direction of his life in that life. It was no longer as accurate as before, and he could no longer rely on it. However, it was his greatest reliance to reverse his fate. If it was just Lin Feng, Chu Yang could still console himself. Perhaps it was because he had been wholeheartedly cultivating in seclusion in that life, and then stayed in the ancient Yuan-Tian realm, that he had never heard of Lin Feng. However, other than Lin Feng and Xianmen Tianzong, there were also differences in other aspects. In that life, Wu Qingru had successfully purged the aristocratic families that opposed the great Qin dynasty. At that time, he had clearly stood on the side of the imperial family. However, according to Chu Yang's current observation, Wu Qingru seemed to be very close to the aristocratic families, and they were even working together to suppress the imperial family. Even if Wu Qingru was feigning civility with the aristocratic families, whatever the reason, his experience in that life was different from that of Chu Yang's. If one thing was different, then other things might be different. For Chu Yang, who was walking on a tightrope, the slightest mistake would cause him to fail on the verge of success, or even be consigned to eternal damnation. Sometimes, Chu Yang wished that it was just a simple dream, and that everything was just his groundless worries and wild imagination. Unfortunately, apart from a few mistakes, the memories of that life had perfectly predicted many things. Chu Yang had no choice but to believe that many things would really happen. For example, Liang Qian really wanted to visit the Shushan sword sect, and before going to Shushan, he really came to the Kunlun mountain range. I remember she once said that she was seriously injured when she was young, and that it was that injury that changed her fate. Chu Yang was shocked. Although she was never willing to tell me the specifics, I remember she said that it was in the Kunlun mountain range. Kunlun mountain range, Kunlun mountain range, damn Kunlun mountain range, why did it all happen in this place? Chu Yang's body jerked backwards, and he looked up at the ceiling of the All Heavens Great Hall. But the Kunlun mountain range is so big, I don't even know its specific location. Fellow Taoist Chu, what's wrong? Chu Yang was slightly startled. When he came back to his senses, he saw the middle-aged scholar of the Golden Elixir period looking at him calmly. His eyes were filled with curiosity. Liang Qian also looked over in concern. Chu Yang coughed lightly and nodded at Liang Qian and the middle-aged scholar. Then, he cupped his hands towards Lin Feng and said, "This junior was momentarily distracted by the magnificence of the Great Hall, resulting in my lack of manners. Please forgive me, senior." Lin Feng said lightly, "It doesn't matter." He turned to look at Liang Qian. "Since the fourth prince is interested in touring the Kunlun mountains, I'm also happy. Please send my regards to your father." Liang Qian knew that this was Lin Feng's way of sending him off. He immediately stood up and said, "Thank you for your hospitality." Lin Feng watched as they walked out of the All Heavens Great Hall under Zhu Yi's lead. After everyone walked out of the Great Hall, they all looked back at the majestic All Heavens Great Hall, clicking their tongues in admiration. Chu Yang was also looking at the Great Hall, many thoughts flashing through his mind. No matter if it's Liang Qian or beyond Heaven Mountain, this master of the Celestial Gate is the best helper to break out of this situation. But I really don't want to interact with him. This person is too mysterious. Especially in my previous life, I've never heard of any information about him. Chu Yang sighed inwardly. Right now, I really hope that this is only because I was ignorant in that life. Unlike Chu Yang, Liang Qian and the others only felt slightly regretful. Even though they knew that it was already extremely courteous for Lin Feng to personally come out on their first visit, after interacting with each other, Liang Qian could clearly feel that Lin Feng was indifferent towards the struggle for the position of Great Zhou Crown Prince. Within the Great Zhou dynasty, the Marquis of Xuanji, Zhu Hongguo, was the crown prince's supporter. It wasn't because of benefits, but because Zhu Hongguo valued status. With Zhu Hongguo there, unless the emperor of Zhou Yangpan himself changed his mind, the position of Great Zhou Crown Prince would be as stable as Mount Tai. It was still Zhu Yi who sent Liang Qian and the others away from Jade Capital Mountain. Both sides chatted happily, and after saying goodbye, Liang Qian sighed, "Of the Marquis of Xuanji's children, this Zhu Yi is the most outstanding. The master of the Celestial Gate is truly worthy of being called a powerhouse." The middle-aged scholar beside him stared at the place where Zhu Yi disappeared, suddenly saying, "Your Highness, the master of the Celestial Gate stands aloof from worldly affairs. I'm afraid that he really does not have the heart to care about the struggle for the position of Great Zhou Crown Prince, much less take the initiative to interfere. On the other hand, there's no harm in making friends with this Zhu Yi. If you can pull him into your service, the effect won't be any less than the master of the Celestial Gate expressing his stance." Everyone present understood what he meant. Zhu Yi is Lin Feng's direct disciple. If he is in trouble, Lin Feng will definitely not ignore him. In a short few months, Lin Feng's reputation as a protector of his children has already spread throughout the entire Heaven Primal world. Moreover, even without considering Lin Feng, Zhu Yi is the son of Zhu Hongwu. Zhu Hongwu supports the Crown Prince, but his son supports the fourth Prince Liang Qian. This is undoubtedly a blow to the reputation of the Crown Prince and Zhu Hongwu. Chu Yang said indifferently, "A very good idea, and there's also room for implementation." Zhu Yi has already confirmed that he will return to the Great Zhou to take the examination. The main reason is for his mother's status. For this kind of thing, if there's someone to support him, then it'll be even smoother and more assured. Both sides can be considered to be taking what they need. Chu Yang said, especially when Zhu Yi and the Marquis of Xuanji are not on good terms. These are all correct, but, what we can think of, the master of Xian Men and Zhu Yi can also think of. Chu Yang's tone changed. So for this kind of thing, it's important to be sincere and frank. If you do it with the intention of scheming against others, it will only produce the opposite of the desired result. The middle-aged scholar faintly smiled. The way Prince does things has always been sincere and frank. Chu Yang smiled and did not say anything. He also agreed with the middle-aged scholar's point of view. He was willing to be Liang Qian's follower. Apart from the fact that Liang Qian was a key person in the calamity of Beyond Heaven Mountain and had to be protected, Liang Qian's magnanimity and wisdom were also important factors. But towards coming into contact with Lin Feng, Chu Yang instinctively resisted. Although he could restrain himself rationally, it was impossible for him to face it emotionally and spiritually. Moreover, he currently had other things to worry about. How is she now? According to what she said before, she was injured in the summer when she was 9 years old. Wasn't it recently? Just where is she at Kunlun Mountain? Back on Yujing Peak, Zhu Yi sent off Liang Qian, Chu Yang, and the others. After that, Lin Feng stopped thinking about them. Although Xiaoqin could not see Chu Yang's exact data, he thought that he was very heaven-defying. However, for now, it did not have much to do with Lin Feng, so he did not care too much about it. Lin Feng returned to the profound heaven-time light paradise. Silently, he thought, right now, there are 3 ways for me to raise my strength. First, try to subdue that ferocious sword. I can sense that even though it is only a third of the blade, the might of this sword is already above the dragon concealing pot, surpassing the hexagonal sword and the evil shadow sword. If I can control this sword and use it with the heaven-shrouding umbrella, one for offense and one for defense, they will complement each other. Second, further develop the might of the yin-yang life and death formation. Of the 6 paths of life and death, only the complete transformation of the world can bring out its true might. The other 5 transformations still need to be developed. Lin Feng sat on the treasure tree and looked at the void above him. Third, and the most reliable method, is to break through my own cultivation and raise my strength without relying on external items. After exhaling softly, Lin Feng patted his head with his palm. A 7-colored light shone from his head, and an infant that looked 60 to 70% like Lin Feng rose from his head. It was Lin Feng's Yuanying. Based on the infant's appearance, it was already 3 or 4 years old. This meant that Lin Feng had already reached the peak of early-stage Yuanying. Lin Feng vaguely felt that his yuanying had merged with the great Tao of the world. It was like a boundless power was pouring into his yuanying from the world. But this feeling of watering is intermittent. Lin Feng understands that even though he has already accumulated enough, his state of mind is still lacking a bit. If this feeling of enlightenment could be completely connected and stabilized, he would be able to truly connect with the great Tao of the world and receive the boundless nine heavens clear qi into his body, allowing his magical power and divine abilities to reach a higher level. Sitting still won't solve the problem. Lin Feng realized this at the first moment. After some thought, his main body remained motionless in the dark heaven-time light grotto heaven, while the iron tree clone left the grotto heaven and directly left Mount Yujing, descending into the Kunlun Mountains below. The iron tree clone strolled through the Kunlun Mountains, enjoying the thousands of sceneries. The blooming sea of flowers, the towering ancient trees, the uncannily crafted Grand Canyons, the mountain ranges, the source of the surging rivers, the lone peak amidst the sea of clouds, Lin Feng carefully analyzed each phenomenon, silently perceiving and experiencing the mysteries of the world. Just as Lin Feng's iron tree clone was enjoying the wonders of the world, his main body in Mount Yujing seemed to have become a lifeless statue puppet. Even the signs of life gradually disappeared. This was not because Lin Feng had transferred all his thoughts to the iron tree clone. Instead, he had deliberately created a state of opposition between the clone and his main body. And on the head of his wooden carving main body, the shadow of a tiny infant sat cross-legged. In the sky above, a pillar of clear qi grew clearer and clearer. A vast amount of nine heavens clear qi entered his body, cleansing and nourishing Lin Feng's body and soul. Under the effect of the clear qi, Lin Feng's yuanying continued to grow. His appearance rapidly grew from that of a 3 or 4-year-old to that of a 7 or 8-year-old. In the outside world, the iron tree clone that was strolling through the mountains suddenly stopped moving. It was as if he had turned back into a clanging iron tree. And on Mount Yujing, the eyes of Lin Feng's main body suddenly opened, as if a statue had suddenly come to life. The nascent soul slowly returned to the top of Lin Feng's head. A smile appeared on Lin Feng's face as he stood up. And the iron tree clone in the Kunlun mountain range also regained its vitality at this moment, beginning to prepare to return to Yujing Mountain. Just then, Lin Feng's iron tree clone suddenly felt a wave of magic power, as if a battle was going on. His cultivation is not high, but his paths, skills, and abilities are unique. Lin Feng smiled and did not care much. Although the northern foothills of the Kunlun Mountains were like his backyard to him, he would not set up a cordon to prohibit people from entering. It was only when the sound of conversation reached Lin Feng's ears that Lin Feng became a little interested. Oh, people from the ancient Yuantian realm? Chapter 371. Lin Feng's iron tree doppelganger flew among the mountains and soon arrived at a valley. Suddenly, a dazzling sword light flashed over the valley. Huh? Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. The Dharma artifact that activated the sword light should be a Dharma artifact of the Golden Elixir period, which was not surprising. What surprised Lin Feng was that the person who controlled this Dharma artifact seemed to be only at the Qi refinement realm. Generally speaking, including Lin Feng's own Xianmen Tianzong, the Dharma artifacts that the major forces gave their disciples were at most one realm higher. Lin Feng was already treating his disciples very well, which made other sects jealous. For example, Xiao Yan, Tiny Tot, and the others who were at the Foundation Establishment realm were guaranteed a Dharma artifact of the Golden Elixir period. Once they reached the Core Formation realm, they would be given a Dharma artifact of the Yuanying period. When they reached the nascent Soul Formation realm, Lin Feng had already begun to save up and strive to give each of them a Dharma artifact. Of course, the last condition was extremely difficult, and Lin Feng was not 100% confident. However, except for special circumstances like the battle between Xiao Yan and Shi Chongyun, Lin Feng would not give his disciples treasures that were much higher than their own cultivation. It was not that he was reluctant, but that it would not be of much use. His disciples' cultivation was not high enough to exert the true power of the treasures. When he gave the flame dragon heavenly armor to Xiao Yan on the cloud-traversing peak, to some extent, it was not Xiao Yan fighting against Shi Chongyun, but the flame dragon heavenly armor fighting against the evil shadow sword. In the current situation, it was a complete waste for a Qi refinement realm cultivator to use a Dharma artifact of the golden elixir period. If it was not picked up by chance, then it was because his family was too spoiled. If it was to provide enough protection for the younger generation, then the golden elixir period talisman would be a more suitable choice. When Lin Feng entered the valley, he saw a 12-year-old girl in green clothes being besieged by 3 Foundation establishment stage opponents. From the looks of it, if she did not have a golden elixir period sword, she would have long been defeated. However, in terms of the outcome, the green-clothed girl's defeat was only a matter of time. This was also because the opponent wanted to capture her alive. Otherwise, she would have been defeated long ago. Starting a war with the Jun and Luo families at the same time, does the Yang family not want to have a foothold in the ancient origin heaven realm? The green-clothed girl asked in a stern voice. At the same time, she activated a sword light and forced the 2 approaching enemies to retreat. The Foundation establishment stage cultivator looked at the sword in the young girl's hand with vigilance and greed in his eyes. He smiled and said, "Starting a war with 2 great clans at the same time is naturally very difficult, but I won't let you spread the news. We don't want to make things difficult for you. As long as you bring us to that little girl from the Luo clan, we can let you go." The green-clothed girl glanced at them contemptuously. "Do you think I'm as gullible as a child?" The Yang family cultivators besieging her smiled carelessly. "Jun Zining, believe it or not, we must find the whereabouts of that girl from the Luo clan from you today." The green-clothed girl, Jun Zining, felt bitter in her heart. Her slender hand gripped her abyss-leaving sword tightly. "It's all my fault for being careless. I actually lost the voice transmission crystal." Jun Zining cursed in her heart. "Otherwise, even if I couldn't ask for help from my family, I could have asked the martial uncles of Purple Cloud Path for help." She calmed herself down and swallowed 2 elixirs to restore magic power. She once again activated the abyss-leaving sword light to force the enemies to retreat. Her eyes began to look around the valley, hoping to find a chance to break through. "I wonder how Qinggu is now. She was injured before, I wonder if it's serious." As Jun Zining kept looking around the valley, she suddenly saw a tall, bronze-skinned young man standing on a mountain ridge, watching the battle in the valley with interest. Jun Zining was shocked. "When did this person come? I didn't notice him before. Even the abyss-leaving sword didn't warn me." Noticing that Jun Zining's gaze was strange, the 3 Foundation establishment cultivators besieging her were wary of her trickery. Only one of them followed Jun Zining's gaze and looked over. However, his face also showed surprise. The opponent might be deceiving, but not his companions. The other 2 Foundation establishment cultivators also looked over cautiously. When they saw Lin Feng's iron tree clone, they were secretly shocked. This person appeared without a sound, and we didn't notice him at all. Lin Feng did not have any intention of hiding his whereabouts at all. He just openly stood on the mountain ridge, looking at the ongoing battle in the valley. He was in a good mood at the moment. "Oh, it turns out that the inheritance of Taoist techniques between family members isn't considered as apprenticeship. It seems that if I want to take in disciples in the future, I should consider the good seedlings of these cultivation families. As long as some people with ulterior motives are eliminated, the selection is still very wide." "Not bad, not bad." Lin Feng looked at the display on the talent detector with a smile. The talent system has finished sorting out the target's information. Bone Aptitude 8, Comprehension 7, Will 6, Blessing 7. Summary: the target has high talent and meets the requirements of a core disciple of the sect. Recommended to take him in. Lin Feng nodded slightly. Total value is 28, not enough for 30. Not suitable to be my personal disciple, but enough to be a disciple of Tiny Tot and the others. Total value is 30. After all, it's not that easy to come across one. Lin Feng shook his head and carefully observed Jun Xining's mana fluctuations. He had a rough idea in his heart. On Yujing Mountain, Lin Feng's main body came out of the mysterious Heaven Time Cave and summoned Black Dragon Jiayu. Jiayu came to him and bowed respectfully. "What can I do for you, Sect Master?" Lin Feng asked. "Jiayu, I remember you said that the ancient origin heaven world is divided and occupied by the 7 great families. These 7 families represent the 7 forces of the divine land." Jiayu nodded and replied, "That's right. One of the families is backed by the Taishu Temple. I once followed the people of the Taishu Temple to the ancient origin heaven world, so I know the inside story." "Does the Purple Heaven Dao also have their own representative in the ancient origin heaven world?" Lin Feng continued to ask. Jiayu nodded. "That's right. The representative of the Purple Heaven Dao in the ancient origin heaven world is the Jun family." Lin Feng understood and thought for a moment. "Is there a Yang family in the ancient origin heaven world?" Jiayu answered with certainty, "Yes, the Yang family is also one of the 7 great families in the ancient origin heaven world. The Yang family is backed by the Reincarnation sect." "The Reincarnation sect?" Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He had heard of this sect, but that was all. He had never actually come into contact with it. The Reincarnation sect was a powerful sect in the southern part of the Divine Land. It was separated from the Great Zhou dynasty by the Great Swamp of the ancient region. Further south was a large number of spatial rifts that connected to the demon realm's infinite wasteland. The common view of the human cultivation world was that the Reincarnation sect was on the same level as the Purple Heaven Dao, the Skypool sect, and the Heavenly Sword sect. However, it was weaker than the 3 Holy Lands, the Great Zhou dynasty, and the Great Qin dynasty. But in reality, according to Lin Feng's understanding of the situation, the Reincarnation sect is a super sect that possesses considerable strength. The reason why it has fallen by a level is because the internal strife within the sect is too fierce, much more serious than the internal strife within the Qin dynasty. Within the Great Qin dynasty, although there were conflicts between the central government and the noble families, the dynasty and the Mount Shu sword sect, and the other sects, it was still in a stable state. On the other hand, the Reincarnation sect had been fighting internally for tens of thousands of years. It had been on the verge of splitting up several times in its history. The Reincarnation sect's foundation began tens of thousands of years ago. The legendary reincarnation Taoist had comprehended the mysteries of the 6 paths of reincarnation and used it as the foundation to establish the Reincarnation sect. 10,000 years ago, the Reincarnation sect was a super sect that could challenge the 3 Holy Lands. But later, in the war with the demon realm, Taoist reincarnation died. After the war, the Reincarnation sect split into the Heaven Path, Azura Path, Human Path, Beast Path, Hell Path, and Hungry Ghost Path. The internal strife greatly affected the Reincarnation sect's strength. In the process of the internal strife, many big shots of the Reincarnation sect left and established their own sections. Among them, the Hua clan, one of the 4 major families of the Great Qin dynasty, was actually the big shot of the Azura path of the Reincarnation sect. In the past, Lin Feng had killed Sikong Nan of the 10,000 Ghost sect for Wang Lin. The 10,000 Ghost sect's origin was the Hungry Ghost path of the Reincarnation sect. Just from this alone, one could see how powerful the Reincarnation sect was when it was at its peak. The internal strife of the Reincarnation sect had continued to this day and still hadn't ended. The 6 paths of the Reincarnation sect were fiercely fighting. In the ancient origin heaven realm, the Yang clan and the Luo clan, which is also one of the 7 great clans, are mortal enemies. Their territories are close to each other, and there is constant friction between them. They have been fighting for thousands of years, and there have been many wars. Jiayu continued, the Luo clan represents the interests of the Great Zhou dynasty in the ancient origin heaven realm. Hearing this, Lin Feng frowned slightly. I haven't heard of any disputes between the Great Zhou dynasty and the Reincarnation sect. Jia Feng nodded. Sect master is right. This is only a dispute between the Yang clan and the Luo clan. As long as it doesn't affect the cultivation resources they send from the ancient origin heaven realm to the reincarnation sect and the Great Zhou dynasty, the reincarnation sect and the Great Zhou dynasty will turn a blind eye to it. Listening to Jiayu's explanation, Lin Feng understood that the disputes between the major forces in the Divine Land wouldn't completely extend to the ancient origin heaven realm. Although the 7 major families were restricted by the forces behind them, they still had a considerable amount of autonomy. For example, the relationship between the Great Zhou dynasty and the Great Qin dynasty wasn't harmonious. However, the Luo clan, which represented the interests of the Great Zhou dynasty, and the Tan clan, which represented the interests of the Great Qin dynasty, weren't necessarily enemies. On the other hand, the forces behind the 2 major families that had a stiff relationship in the ancient origin heaven realm might even be allies. Lin Feng smiled. Interesting. In Kunlun Mountain, his iron tree clone smiled as he watched the battle between Jun Zining and the Yang clan cultivators in the valley. With him present, although the 2 sides were still attacking each other, more than half of their attention was focused on guarding against Lin Feng. Lin Feng suddenly appeared. His cultivation level was obviously higher than everyone present. His unclear stance made the 4 people in the valley restless. Jun Zining glanced at Lin Feng, and her eyes suddenly lit up. This person looks like he's standing in his own backyard in Kunlun Mountain. Could it be? Chapter 372. Generally speaking, the attitude people showed in their own territory was different from that of others. It was not fear or restraint. On the contrary, it was an instinctive self-protection mechanism. Lin Feng was now standing on the mountain ridge, looking at Jun Zining and the Yang family cultivators. It was as if he was the host watching a few foreign children break into his house and make a scene. Such an attitude made Jun Zining's heart skip a beat. I heard that in the northern foothills of Kunlun Mountain, there is a new rising force called Xianmen Tianzong. Could this person be a disciple of Xianmen Tianzong? Thinking of this, hope rose in Jun Zining's heart. I heard from my father that Xianmen Tianzong and Zixiao Dao seem to have a relatively harmonious relationship. Although our Jun family and Xianmen Tianzong are not friends, we can at least build some connections. This person may be my savior. After dodging another attack with difficulty, Jun Zining suddenly called out to Lin Feng on the mountain ridge, "Is this senior brother of Xianmen Tianzong?" As soon as she said this, the 3 Yang family cultivators who were besieging her were shocked. They looked at Lin Feng with more caution and vigilance. Although they came from the ancient Yuan-Tian realm and did not know much about the celestial sect of the celestial prefecture that had risen to prominence, they were on the northern foothills of Kunlun Mountain this time, so they naturally had to understand the local tyrants here. If the person in front of them was a disciple of another family, it would be fine. But since he was a disciple of the celestial sect, they must treat him with caution. Otherwise, if they were not careful, they might get into big trouble. Lin Feng looked at Jun Zining with interest. The little girl looked no more than 11 or 12 years old. Her dark eyes kept rolling, looking very smart, but there was a hint of cunning in them. She looked a bit similar to Tiny Tot. However, Tiny Tot was almost a demon. If he had not known that he was actually a black-bellied person, even Lin Feng would not have been able to stand seeing him act cute with his big eyes. Jun Zining hurriedly said, "Senior brother, I'm the successor of Zixiao Taoism. Our 2 families have always been on good terms. Please save me." The 3 Yang family cultivators opened their mouths, but for a moment, they didn't know what to say. Although the Jun family was the representative of the Purple Cloud Dao in the ancient origin heaven realm, and they had also received guidance from the Purple Cloud Dao in their cultivation, they could not truly be considered a branch of the Purple Cloud Dao. However, it was true that Jun Zining had a deep relationship with the Purple Heaven Dao. The Yang family cultivators looked at Lin Feng and felt bitter in their mouths. Especially if this person doesn't understand the difference between the Purple Heaven Dao and the Jun family, he's more likely to be fooled by Jun Zining. One of them withdrew from the battle and cupped his hands towards Lin Feng. "Fellow Daoist, this woman has a personal grudge with us. Please don't interfere. Lin Feng smiled faintly. If you leave now, I will let this matter rest. The Yang family cultivator's face darkened. Then I'll have to offend you. The three of them looked at each other and nodded in unison. Suddenly, each of them took out a small flag. The black flag fluttered in the wind and quickly turned into a large flag that was dozens of feet tall. As the black flag fluttered in the air, gusts of chilly wind that seemed to come from the underworld kept blowing. The three Yang family disciples began to chant incantations at the same time. A huge triangular spiritual array pattern appeared on the ground, covering the entire valley. The complex pattern flashed with a dazzling purple light, causing Jun Xining's face to turn extremely ugly. Lightning Purgatory Array. A beam of light shot out from each of the three corners of the spiritual array. Together, they converged in the sky and condensed into a huge transparent ball of light. The ball of light emitted a muffled rumbling sound, like dense thunderclouds that never rained. The ball of light floated above Lin Feng and Jun Xining's heads, emitting waves of terrifying magical power that made one's heart palpitate. Lin Feng looked at this scene with interest. Oh! Such an exquisite spiritual array. So it turns out that the Yang family is mainly siding with the Hell Dao within the reincarnation sect? When the three Yang family disciples heard Lin Feng's words, their hearts sank. Lin Feng already knew their identities and knew that the Yang family was backed by the reincarnation sect, but he still didn't take it to heart. This kind of person was either so strong that they couldn't afford to offend him, or he was a lunatic. However, the three of them were still confident at this moment, because the three of them combined their powers to display this array called the Lightning Purgatory Array. In fact, with the cultivation of these three foundation establishment stage cultivators, it was impossible for them to activate this powerful spiritual array. Even among the cultivators of the Golden Elixir period, very few could do it alone. But with the help of the three black flags, it all became a reality. These three black flags were foundation establishment stage magic artifacts, but each of them alone was useless. It was like a piece of trash. They only had one use, and that was to set up the Lightning Purgatory Array. The power of the Lightning Purgatory Array was also satisfactory. Lin Feng could feel the violent and vast thunder spiritual qi contained in the huge ball of light above his head. It was as if he was being struck by lightning. However, to Lin Feng, it didn't matter, even if it was only his clone in this valley. Lin Feng, on the other hand, looked at the spiritual array with interest. He clicked his tongue in admiration. The reincarnation sect's spiritual techniques are indeed unique. After tens of thousands of years of development, the 6 paths of reincarnation had developed and changed greatly in terms of Dharma spells and supernatural powers in actual combat, in addition to the different Dharma spells and mysteries. As far as Lin Feng knew, among the 6 reincarnation Daos, the Azura Dao cultivators mainly focused on the physical body and killing techniques. They were the most ferocious. The animal Dao cultivators were good at raising spirit beasts and commanding them to fight. The cultivators themselves weren't strong in combat. The hungry ghost Dao cultivators raised all kinds of spirit ghosts. The cultivators' strength was the same as the animal Dao cultivators. The cultivators themselves were weak, and their combat strength was mainly reflected in the spirit ghosts. However, for the animal Dao and hungry ghost Dao cultivators, because of the spirit beasts and spirit ghosts, they might have combat strength that surpassed cultivators of the same level. The human Dao cultivators cultivated the 7 emotions and 6 desires, and all kinds of spiritual techniques were derived from it. There were spells, illusions, and many other kinds, but relatively speaking, their combat strength was the weakest. However, after the cultivation of the 7 emotions and 6 desires, the human Dao cultivators' state of mind improved extremely quickly. They had the fewest bottlenecks in the process of cultivation, so it was easier for them to cultivate compared to the other reincarnation sect's spiritual techniques. The cultivators relied on their slightly higher cultivation level to make up for their disadvantage in spiritual techniques and spiritual techniques. The heavenly Dao had always been known as the #1 reincarnation Daos. In the internal conflicts of the reincarnation sect, the other Taoists would always unite to fight against the heavenly Tao. On the other hand, the spiritual techniques of the Naraka Tao were mainly formations. There were those that were weak and could be activated quickly, those that were strong and slow to be activated, those that were fixed, those that could be moved, those that could be controlled by a single person, and those that could be controlled by many people. There were all kinds of formations, just like the endless hell. Lin Feng shook his head and laughed in spite of himself, all kinds of Tao techniques and supernatural powers, the blossoming of 100 flowers. But the final result is to deal with your fellow disciples. I wonder if Taoist reincarnation should cry or laugh if he knows this in the afterlife. The reincarnation sect has made great progress in the 6 Taoists of reincarnation. If we can combine the 6 Taoists into one, I'm afraid we can immediately fill the empty spot left by the Tempest Temple after it was destroyed. Together with the Mount Shu Sword Sect and the Taishu Temple, we can be called the new 3 Holy Lands. Jun Zining anxiously shouted at Lin Feng, "Why are you still laughing? If there's a way, then think of a way. If there's no way, then run." Right now in her heart she was a bit regretful, dragging Lin Feng into such a dangerous situation. In order to capture her alive, the other party did not use his full strength just now. Otherwise, if he had used the Thunder Purgatory formation earlier, the Abyssly Sword would not have been able to protect her. After all, the Abyssly Sword was a sword weapon, and its defense was not its forte. Lin Feng smiled and shook his head, "It's okay." As he spoke, a violent purple light poured down from the light ball above his head. It was silent, but in this silence, it was full of destructive power. Lin Feng didn't even look, waving his hand and punching out, directly exploding the air in the space above his head, making a boom sound. This explosive power instantly shattered the originally incomparably ferocious purple light into smithereens. The 3 cultivators of the Yang family were all dumbfounded. No way. So fierce. Jun Zining's spirit was lifted, and she hurriedly shouted, the flags are the key to breaking their formation. As long as one flag is destroyed, this Thunder Purgatory formation will." Before she could finish her sentence, Jun Zining's voice suddenly got stuck. Her eyes widened, and she stared blankly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's feet suddenly stopped, and the small mountain ridge almost collapsed. He flew into the air, and directly reached out to grab the huge light ball. "Don't!" Jun Zining was so anxious that she almost went crazy. She knew that the Thunder Purgatory formation had more than one wave of attacks. This was a powerful formation that continuously attacked until the enemies in the formation were turned into ashes. The light ball contained a huge amount of lightning spiritual energy, which was far more powerful than a single wave of lightning attacks. The 3 Yang family cultivators were happy, and their mood swapped with Jun Zining's. "How dare you! If you had attacked the flags just now, the formation might really have been broken. But now, you're the one courting death." The 3 of them sneered at the same time. Jun Zining quickly activated the Abyssly Sword, wanting to help Lin Feng. But then, they saw a shocking scene. In the sky, Lin Feng's hands turned into claws, and directly pinched the huge light ball that had gathered a huge amount of lightning spiritual energy. Then, he forcefully tore it apart. The light ball exploded, and countless lightning spiritual energy went berserk, turning into a series of lightning bolts. But before they could wreak havoc, they were already annihilated. Lin Feng's 2 claws directly destroyed the foundation of the Thunder Purgatory formation contained in the light ball. As the light ball shattered, the huge triangular formation pattern on the ground also disappeared. Rip! The 3 black flags standing on the ground were torn at the same time. The 3 Yang family cultivators vomited blood at the same time, and looked at Lin Feng in horror. "This guy, who the hell is he? A golden elixir period cultivator can't break the Thunder Purgatory formation with such pure violence." At this time, Lin Feng looked down at Jun Zining. "There's no need to go through so much trouble." Jun Zining was speechless, but then, her expression changed slightly. "Oh no, These 3 flags were definitely not made by these 3 foundation establishment cultivators. They must have been made by their elders. Now that they're destroyed, they must have sensed it. Lin Feng chuckled. We're here. Before he finished speaking, a void crack suddenly appeared in the distant sky, and a figure stepped out from it. The 3 Yang family cultivators, who were originally grief-stricken, suddenly became spirited. The ancestor is here. It was a middle-aged man with a long beard. He looked at Lin Feng coldly. So what if you're Xianmen Tianzong? Today, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your elders. No matter who you are, you must die for touching the Yang family. As he said that, he pointed at Lin Feng, and a formation suddenly appeared under Lin Feng's feet. Chapter 373. The array lit up. Lin Feng did not feel anything, but Jun Zining, who was standing far away, already felt a piercing chill. Her whole body was frozen numb, as if even her blood was about to freeze at this moment. She was horrified. Yuanying stage ancestor. It's the Yang family's Yuanying stage ancestor, Yang Su. The long-bearded middle-aged man, Yang Su, did not pay attention to Jun Zining at all. All his attention was on Lin Feng. The 3 flags were given by Yang Su to the younger generation of the family. He had the most intuitive feeling when Lin Feng tore apart the lightning purgatory array. Golden elixir period cultivation. But it's very strong. The Taoism of Xianmen Tianzong is indeed strange. Yang Su stared at Lin Feng with a gloomy face and said coldly, but don't think that a disciple of Xianmen Tianzong can really run amok in this world. If your ancestor, the master of Xianmen Gate, was here, I would be a little afraid of him. But you're just a junior in the golden elixir period. I'll teach you the rules today. As he said that, Yang Su suddenly put his hands together and activated the ice purgatory array. He wanted to completely freeze Lin Feng to death. At this moment, he was staring at Lin Feng with an ominous glint in his eyes. It was obvious that he had the intention to silence him. Since he had already made his move, he might as well kill this person from the celestial sect of wonders here as well, not giving him a chance to report to the sect. But then, whether it was Yang Su, Jun Zining, or the 3 Yang family cultivators, they all widened their eyes. In the face of Yang Su's powerful array that was about to freeze the space, Lin Feng smiled leisurely. I'll discipline you on behalf of the Yang family. As he said that, Lin Feng casually threw a punch and struck out with the 8-trigram sky collapsing hammer. In an instant, the space around Lin Feng's body and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth began to be annihilated. Heaven, earth, wind, thunder, water, fire, mountain, and lake, the 8 phenomena turned into light and shadow. According to the positions of the 8 trigrams, they faintly appeared in Lin Feng's fist intent. Heaven and earth merged, wind and lightning were born, water and fire fused, mountains and swamps were interdependent. 8 types of concepts fused in pairs, transforming into each other. They were constantly fusing their strength, and they were growing at a crazy speed with a nearly endless momentum. Immediately after, the majestic power was extinguished one after another, continuously disintegrating. In this process of endless growth and destruction, the power of Lin Feng's punch had reached a level that left Yang Su and the others dumbfounded. Even though the Tai Shu clone was only in the golden elixir period, Lin Feng's 8-trigram sky collapsing hammer had forcibly shattered Yang Su's ice prison formation. Jun Zining and the 3 foundation establishment cultivators from the Yang family stared blankly. To them, the scene before them had completely overturned their understanding and common sense. Although Yang Su did not rely on the terrain or treasures, and only used his own mana to cast the formation, even so, once the formation was formed, its power was extremely amazing. With the help of the great power of heaven and earth, it was not comparable to ordinary magic. Yang Su was an early-stage Yuanying patriarch, and the opponent in front of him was clearly only in the golden elixir period. According to the expectations of Jun Zining and the others, the outcome of this battle was already decided without a fight. However, The result was that Lin Feng had destroyed Yang Su's formation with one punch. This result was simply shocking to everyone present. Even Yang Su himself was taken aback. When he looked at Lin Feng again, his expression suddenly became much more cautious. Who is this person? Rumor has it that Xianmen Tianzong is full of monsters, invincible in the same realm, and can fight against Yuanying stage at the early stage golden elixir period. I thought it was just a rumor, but now it seems to be true. Lin Feng looked at Yang Su and curled his lips in his heart. I can't believe that I can still pretend to be young at this point in time. Yang Su was completely serious at this moment. He glanced around. The terrain is unfavorable, so I can't exert 100% of the formation's power. However, I brought the Ice Hell Gate, so it can exert at least 80% of the formation's power. He suddenly raised his hand, and a white light flashed in the air, turning into a gate completely made of ice. At the same time, Yang Su's hands moved, and his mana turned into layers of ice and snow. In an instant, hundreds of miles of Kunlun Mountain were turned into a world of ice and snow. A huge formation pattern appeared on the ground. Ice Hell Formation, Ice Hell Gate, open. In the sky, Yang Su's life Yuanying artifact, the Ice Hell Gate, slowly opened. Howling cold wind blew out from it. On the other side of the gate, it was like a hell made entirely of ice and snow. It was extremely cold and deathly silent. Looking in from the gate, there was only darkness, with only a little flickering light, which seemed to be groups of ice sculptures. Anyone who stepped into this hell would only end up with one ending, which was to be frozen from the body to the soul, becoming one of the ice sculptures. They would never be able to reincarnate, and would only sleep in the ice hell. When the gate opened, Lin Feng felt that the space within the range of Yang Su's formation seemed to distort together. The gate and the formation merged into one, and the entire region was about to be dragged into the ice hell. Yang Su himself also disappeared, as if his whole body had merged into the world of the formation. This formation is interesting. Lin Feng smiled. Unfortunately, I don't have the patience to watch any longer. Lin Feng raised his hand and shot out a purple gas, which turned into a small world. He covered Jun Zining first, otherwise, the little girl would be frozen to death. Jun Zining was shrouded in the small world, and her first thought was worry. The Ice Hell Formation is one of the top formations of the Yang family. Although it is not used in a world of ice and snow, Yang Su is using this formation with his Yuanying cultivation, and with the help of a Yuanying artifact, it really has the ability to drag this world into the ice hell. This person seems to have also created a small world, but how can it withstand the erosion of the ice hell? She was worried, but after a while, she was surprised to find that Lin Feng's small world was stable as usual, and was not affected by the ice hell at all. This surprised Jun Zining. Did everyone make a mistake? Is this person not in the golden elixir period? Lin Feng's iron tree clone was indeed in the golden elixir period, but with the subtlety of Taoist techniques and magical powers, an early Yuanying opponent could not be bothered at all. However, the iron tree clone was the same as the previous god of war clone. Spells were not its strong point, and it was purely fighting with Yang Su, using its weak point to attack the enemy's strong point. A nascent soul stage cultivator's deep understanding of the mysteries of space, even though the Iron Tree clone can obtain the inheritance from Lin Feng's main body, but without personally experiencing the training of the Void Lightning Tribulation, it always lacks that bit of understanding. In particular, the Iron Tree clone's strong point was the strength of its body. It had not really withstood the Thunder Tribulation with its body, so it lacked a layer of experience. Just nice, I can use you to test out my new magical power. Lin Feng smiled in his heart. The Iron Tree clone's blood and qi surged all over its body, all the major acupoints vibrated together, and its whole body flashed with a layer of black luster. Yang Su, who was hidden in the void, could not help but tremble when he saw this scene, and a sense of extreme danger surged in his heart. Before he could react, Lin Feng's figure flashed, and his whole body had disappeared into the void. Boom! When Lin Feng appeared once again, a huge sound exploded in the sky. In the next moment, a blazing sun with boundless radiance slowly rose in front of Yang Su and the others. Like the morning sun, it dispelled the endless darkness in the blink of an eye, but it could not bring hope to people, only endless fear and despair, like the end of the world. Disaster, ferocity, destruction, annihilation. The blazing sun made everyone afraid to look directly, as if they would be blinded by this needle-like light if they looked at it. Only Yang-su could see the true appearance of that sun. It was a fist, a human fist, an iron fist that burned with blazing golden flames. Lin Feng was standing next to the gate of ice hell, his right hand forming a strange fist seal. The closer one got to the gate of ice hell, the colder it became. Countless ice and frost tried to freeze Lin Feng, but before it could get close, it was already roasted by the blazing heat of Lin Feng's fist seal. For symbols heaven opening book, fire, great sun god fist. As Yang Su's eyes widened, Lin Feng's fist landed on the gate of ice hell, and the sky full of ice shards fell like a torrential rain. Before the broken ice shards could land, they were melted in midair by the terrifying heat of the sun, turning into a torrential rain that fell into the valley. The Yuanying magic tool, the gate of ice hell, was directly covered in cracks by Lin Feng's fist. Lin Feng stood in the air, his iron fist raised high, as if the sun was hanging high in the sky, illuminating the originally dark world of ice and snow like it was daytime. The surrounding air was also steaming hot, as if the North Pole had instantly turned into a desert. Lin Feng did not stop at all, forming the great sun god fist mark and smashing towards the ice hell gate like a god swinging a sledgehammer. The iron fist had the power of the sun falling to the ground, bombarding that nascent soul stage magic item that was already wailing non-stop. Yang Su roared, the light above his head flashing. He had no choice but to yuanying out of his body. He had never thought that he would be forced to this point by an opponent of the golden elixir period. The essence of his nascent soul was thrown directly into the door of the ice prison. With a loud rumble, the half-closed door of the ice prison was completely opened. Behind the door, endless cold air and the aura of death gushed out from the dark and silent ice hell. In an instant, it was as if hell and the human world were really connected. The sun held up by Lin Feng's palm collided with the power of the distorted space in the ice hell, and both sides shattered. The world of ice and snow was directly torn into pieces, turning into a sky full of snow. And the bright sun in the sky finally exploded in this peak confrontation, turning into a boundless sea of fire, covering the sky above. The small valley in Kunlun Mountain at this moment turned into a strange world. The upper half was full of golden fire, and the lower half was snow-white. The two were clearly separated, exceptionally gorgeous, but it was as if the end of the world had come. With a muffled groan, Yang Su's yuanying, who had originally entered the gate of ice hell, was directly shaken out. He did not dare to hesitate. Yuanying tremblingly retracted his body, looked up to the sky, and swallowed the gate of ice hell that was covered with dense cracks, and then broke through the void to escape without looking back. Thanks to the protection of the small world, Jun Xening was able to survive, but in the aftermath of the peak collision just now, even the small world was violently distorted and almost shattered. The girl stared blankly at the sky, the golden sea of fire parted to both sides, and a figure slowly walked out of it. It was Lin Feng's Tai Shu doppelganger. Lin Feng looked in the direction where Yang Su escaped, and chuckled, "It's too late to leave now." Chapter 374. Lin Feng looked at Yang Su, who was trying to escape, and chuckled. His right hand formed the great sun divine fist seal again, and a raging fire gathered in his palm again, turning into a bright sun that rose slowly and shone brightly. In the next moment, Lin Feng's great sun divine fist bombarded the void, and the void distorted. Yang Su, who was trying to escape, seemed to be stuck in the gap between the two worlds. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent back to this side of the world. He looked at Lin Feng in horror. Not only is he powerful, but he also has such a deep understanding of the mysteries of space. Are all the people from Xianmen Tianzong monsters? Yang Su opened his mouth and spat out the scarred ice hell gate again, and then suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. This time, it was spat on the ice hell gate. At the same time, his yuanying body also left his body and spat out a mouthful of essence qi, which landed on the ice hell gate. With the multi-pronged approach, the ice hell gate shone brightly again, and finally regained some vitality. However, in Jun Xining's eyes, this only made her feel more shocked by Lin Feng's strength. Yang Su looks like he's going all out now. Jun Xining's small mouth opened slightly, and her face was full of shock. A person with golden elixir period cultivation has forced a yuanying ancestor to this point, and he still looks like he's doing it with ease. Yang Su looked at Lin Feng with a gloomy face. Who are you? With your cultivation, you can't be a nobody in Xianmen Tianzong. Which of the 6 disciples of the master of Xianmen Gate are you? Lin Feng looked at Yang Su with interest, and suddenly laughed. Cultivators like you who have formed the yuanying period don't talk so much nonsense when fighting with others. Are you saying so much now to buy time and wait for reinforcements? Although Yang Su's expression didn't change, he suddenly became silent and didn't speak. It was obvious that Lin Feng had seen through his thoughts. Jun Xining was shocked. She patted her head and shouted at Lin Feng, there are indeed 2 yuanying stage ancestors from the Yang family in Kunlun Mountain. He must be waiting for another ancestor to come. Don't worry, he won't be able to wait. Lin Feng shook his head. He raised his hand and drew a circle of light in the air. Within the circle of light, the scene changed. When the image in the halo stabilized, Yang Su saw the scene clearly, and his face immediately became even more gloomy. Jun Xining looked over curiously and exclaimed in surprise. In the image, the sky was filled with flying sand, dyeing that part of the world black and yellow. An old man in black, with a ferocious face, was sitting cross-legged on a huge door. Above his head, there was a shadow of a baby. He was yuanying out of body. Inside the door, endless black sand flew out from it. Each grain of black sand contained a terrifying power of death. If an ordinary person came into contact with a grain of black sand, their life would immediately be erased by the power of death. Their soul would also be imprisoned by the black sand and buried in the dark and boundless hell behind the door. Unlike Yang Su's connection to the ice hell, this old man's formation was connected to the black sand hell. He used his own yuanying magic tool, the Gate of the Hell of Sand, in conjunction with the black sand hell formation, to drag the entire space he was in into the black sand hell. At least, that was his original plan. Unfortunately, he could only sit and worry. The black sand that gushed out from the Gate of the Hell of Sand could not spread at all. It was immediately knocked back into the door. The endless yellow sand danced in the air, surrounding the old man in black and the Gate of the Hell of Sand. Not only was it impossible to break through, the yellow sand was also constantly squeezing towards the center. No matter how violent and unwilling the black sand was, it could only retreat step by step. Silently, a young man in white sat cross-legged on the clouds. This place was warm and sunny, and below him was a yellow misty world. The old man in black was struggling bitterly in this domain. Yang Su watched helplessly as the yellow sand encirclement grew tighter and tighter, and his companions could only retreat in defeat. The young man in white looked down calmly. He stretched out his hands and formed a seal with each hand. The 2 seals came together in front of the young man in white's chest. A seemingly small but extremely condensed stream of water fell into the yellow sand below. The condensed and heavy water and the eternal and endless sand. The 2 great concepts of power merged at this moment. The flying yellow sand instantly became heavy, turning into a boundless sea of sand that pressed towards the old man in black. The old man in black was like a small sailboat in a stormy sea. He wanted to struggle, but was directly overturned by a wave and was completely submerged in the raging sea of sand. Yang Su and Jun Xining stared blankly at this scene. They watched the old man in black and his Gate of the Hell of Sand being swallowed by the vast sea of sand. In just a short moment, not even a single wave could be made. After a long time, the quicksand stopped moving and turned into a huge sand ball in midair. At this time, there was a faint wave of terrifying power coming from the sand ball, as if it wanted to break free. Jun Zining could not help but feel worried. Yang Su's mood did not improve. Instead, he felt waves of despair. Because he could see that it was not that the old man in black had the ability to break free from the suppression of the opponent's supernatural power. It was because he was unwilling to be captured alive and wanted to self-destruct. The young man in white looked at the sand ball that was gradually shaking. Slowly, he stretched out a hand, formed a seal, and shook it at the sand ball. The sand ball suddenly shook, and a terrifying power burst out, trying to compress the inside. With this pressure, even if the opponent self-destructed his Yuanying, it would be useless. The power of the Yuanying's self-destruction would be directly crushed by the huge power in the sand ball. I have no intention of killing you. Your punishment will be decided by the sect master of Xianmen Tianzong. The young man in white was naturally one of the two guardian elders of Xianmen Tianzong, Kang Nanhua. He said faintly, "You can't do anything to me even if you self-destruct your Yuanying now. You're just seeking your own death." The struggle and resistance in the sand ball gradually weakened, revealing a trace of dejection. Also feeling dispirited along with him was Yang Su, especially when an outrageously handsome young man dressed in luxurious purple clothes appeared next to Lin Feng with a smile that was not a smile. Yang Su completely lost the will to resist. After handing the two Yuanying stage ancestors to Kang Nanhua and Miao Shihao respectively, Lin Feng's attention returned to Jun Zining. "Did you just say that you're a disciple of Purple Heaven Path?" Hearing Lin Feng's question, Jun Zining shivered all over. She looked at Lin Feng with a hint of fear. If he finds out that I lied to him as a shield, it would be terrible if he gets angry. Jun Zining's eyes turned, and she coughed dryly, "Senior brother. No, martial uncle, I'm not a direct disciple of Purple Heaven Path, but my family practices Taoism, and it has a deep relationship with Purple Heaven Path. I can be considered half a disciple of Purple Heaven Path." The 12-year-old girl cupped her hands at Lin Feng like a little adult. "Martial uncle, you look unfamiliar. I've never seen you in the Wilderness Sea Assembly." Lin Feng glanced at her. "You've participated in the Wilderness Sea Assembly?" Jun Zining's heart was actually beating like a drum. She had never participated in the Wilderness Sea Assembly, but she was familiar with Li Kueyin, a disciple of Purple Heaven Path. Li Kueyin doted on her quite a bit. When they met a while ago, they had talked about the Wilderness Sea Assembly. She calmed herself down and said, "Of course I've participated, but my cultivation was too low, so I could only watch from the sidelines. However, the glory of the martial uncles of Xianmen Tianzong is still fresh in my memory." The little girl was racking her brains to recall every detail that Li Kueyin had told her, from Yu Hongyan fighting against the Sun and Moon dual swords, Wang Lin and Dao Yuding's life and death battle, to the duel between Zhu Yi and Jiao Junshen during the Golden Elixir period, and to the final with Tiny Tot. In the end, there was naturally no lack of the peak duel between Zhu Yi and Tiny Tot. "The more I talk about it, the more I feel that Xianmen Tianzong is really strong." As Jun Zining spoke, she couldn't help but be fascinated. In the end, she gradually became a little excited and talked non-stop. "I've even followed Aunt Li Kueyin to greet the martial uncles of Xianmen Tianzong." In the end, Jun Zining couldn't control her mouth anymore. "I've even met the master of Xianmen Tianzong." As soon as she said that, Jun Zining paused slightly and felt a little regretful. "Oh no, it seems that I've bragged a little too much." She stole a glance at Lin Feng. The martial arts that he used to defeat Yang Su just now seemed to have integrated the power of the true fire of the sun, but it's even more mysterious than that, as if all the flames in the world are under his control. At the Wilderness Sea Assembly, the only disciple of the master of Xianmen Tianzong who hasn't shown up is his eldest disciple, Xiao Yan. I heard that Xiao Yan is also in the Golden Elixir period and has the power of two true fires. Could it be him? Jun Zining asked carefully. "I haven't asked for the title of this martial uncle." "Could it be Xiao Yan, martial uncle Xiao?" Before she finished speaking, the light and shadow in front of her suddenly changed. The little girl was dizzy, and when she stood up again, she was already in a grand and majestic hall. On the main seat of the hall sat a young man in a loose purple robe. His whole body seemed to be one with the hall, broad and vast like the starry sky of the universe. Just as Jun Zining was feeling bewildered, the young man in the purple robe smiled slightly. Apart from me, Xianmen Tianzong, there are a total of 487 disciples from other forces, regardless of their cultivation, participating in the Wilderness Sea Assembly. Why don't I remember you being among them? Jun Zining opened her mouth wide and stared blankly at the young man in the purple robe on the main seat. After a long while, she came back to her senses and stammered, You are, the young man in the purple robe smiled, I'm the master of Xianmen, Lin Feng. Jun Zining looked at Lin Feng, dumbfounded and speechless for a long time. Her body trembled for a long time and she wanted to speak. Suddenly, her eyes rolled back and she was about to faint. Lin Feng found it funny, what a child, still pretending to faint. A purple aura held Jun Zining up. Before the little girl could react, her whole body was numb, as if countless fine needles were gently pricking her. Jun Zining was so scared that she quickly stood up straight. She looked like a little fox that was caught trying to steal a chicken. She begged for mercy and smiled, Please forgive me, senior. At this moment, she really wanted to slap herself. Idiot, when will you be able to control your mouth that doesn't even have a door? This is bad, bad. Chapter 375. Lin Feng looked at Jun Zining calmly, Are you from the Jun family of the ancient Yuantian world? Jun Zining nodded and looked at Lin Feng carefully. Seeing that Lin Feng did not seem angry and his attitude was amiable, she felt a little relieved. I am Jun Zining, a member of the Jun family. Jun Zining said honestly, but I am indeed half a disciple of Zixiao Taoism. Unlike the other family members, I once studied in Zixiao Taoism for a year. Lin Feng looked at her and slowly asked, As far as I know, in the ancient Yuantian world, the Yang family and the Luo family are mortal enemies. Although they are not on good terms with the Jun family, at least they mind their own business. Why would they make things difficult for you? Jun Zining came to her senses and quickly said, Senior, please help me. I came to the divine land with my companion. On the way, we were attacked by the cultivators of the Yang family. I was separated from my companion. She was seriously injured and is on the verge of death. Please be merciful and save her. Lin Feng asked silently, She is from the Luo family? Jun Zining nodded repeatedly, Yes, her name is Luo Qinggu. We've known each other since childhood. Sigh, speaking of which, she accompanied me out to relax, but we didn't expect to be ambushed by the Yang family. Lin Feng nodded. If he had not accompanied Jun Zining to the divine land, Luo Qinggu would not have encountered such a disaster. If Luo Qinggu had not attracted the Yang family's attack, Jun Zining would not have almost fallen into the tiger's mouth. It was hard to say who was the burden between the two sisters. From Jun Zining's narration, Lin Feng learned that although the Luo family also had a Yuanying ancestor as a bodyguard, he was no match for the two Yuanying stage cultivators of the Yang family. As a result, Yang Su injured Luo Qinggu. Later on, they were separated. Jun Zining escaped with the help of the greater teleportation talisman, but she was still chased by the Yang family. This was because she and Luo Qinggu had agreed on a place to meet before they were separated. Lin Feng furrowed his brows and thought to himself, from what she said, she and Luo Qinggu are best friends who grew up together. From her words, it seems like she treats Luo Qinggu like a younger sister. Then, Luo Qinggu should be younger than her. Such a little girl, why would the Yang family value her so much? Also, she's just a little girl. Don't talk about Yang Su specifically attacking her. She's just a little girl. She's just injured and not dead. There are so many suspicious points. Lin Feng looked at Jun Zining and asked slowly, For Luo Qinggu, the Yang family sent two Yuanying cultivators to kill her? Jun Zining shook her head slightly, Qinggu is one of them. The sixth grandfather of the Luo family who escorted us here is also their target. That's more like it. Lin Feng nodded slightly. According to the information he got from Jiayu, the 7 great families of the ancient Yuan-Tian world were actually quite powerful. Each of them had a primordial soul realm old ancestor, so their strength was not bad. However, a medium-sized world like the ancient Yuan-Tian world had a big problem. There was no void thunder tribulation. This caused the golden elixir late-stage cultivators to encounter an insurmountable threshold when they tried to form their nascent soul. They had to go through the space tunnel and go to the divine land to undergo the thunder tribulation. This also became the main means for the major forces in the divine land to restrict the ancient Yuan-Tian world. The direct result was that the number of Yuanying stage cultivators in the ancient Yuan-Tian world was relatively small. No matter which family, losing a Yuanying old ancestor could be said to be a heavy blow. This time, the Luo family's Yuanying old ancestor who escorted Luo Qingguo and Jun Zining was alone. This was a good opportunity for the Yang family. They immediately seized the opportunity and sent 2 Yuanying old ancestors to kill them. However, Luo Qingguo was also an important target. This is something that everyone in the ancient Yuan-Tian world knows. It shouldn't hurt to say it, right? Jun Zining hesitated for a moment and said, they want to kill the 6th grandfather of the Luo family. At the same time, they want to take the opportunity to kill Qingguo. Because Qingguo is very talented, she was born with a heavenly soul pearl. This time, Lin Feng was really interested. Oh. Heavenly soul pearl. Through the system's inquiry, Lin Feng learned that the Heavenly Soul Pearl was actually similar to Xiao Budian's Supreme Spirit platform. It was a natural spiritual object that was born in the human body. This pearl gathered the purest mysterious yin qi in the space around its owner and nourished its owner, so that the owner could achieve twice the result with half the effort when practicing yin attribute Dao techniques. The efficiency was far beyond that of ordinary people. It was the second best constitution for practicing yin attribute Dao techniques, second only to the pure yin body. Although the owner of the Heavenly Soul Pearl was not born in the middle stage of the foundation establishment stage like Xiao Budian's Supreme Spirit platform, in the future, when this person reached the foundation establishment stage and opened up the Sea of Qi to prepare to build a spirit platform, he could use the Heavenly Soul Pearl as the core to build a spirit platform and have a 100% chance of building a first-grade spirit platform. According to the previous accumulation of mysterious yin qi in the Heavenly Soul Pearl, and the owner's level of willpower and comprehension, there was even a chance of building a supreme spirit platform. This kind of innate talent could be said to be extremely heaven-defying. A 100% chance of building a first-grade spirit platform meant a 100% chance of building a first-grade elixir cauldron. After that, with the protection of the family elders, the probability of forming a purple core was infinitely close to 100%. After forming a purple core from the golden elixir, everything would be smooth sailing. The tribulation of yin fire, tribulation of yin wind, and even the tribulation of void thunder. As long as one practiced properly, one's willpower and comprehension would be able to keep up. Coupled with the protection of the elders, the Yuanying stage would also beckon to Luo Qingguo. The more solid the foundation, the smoother the path in the future. With a talent like Luo Qingguo, the Luo family would definitely take care of her in every possible way. She would walk steadily step by step, and when she formed her nascent soul, there would still be unlimited potential to be unearthed. Although she was a woman, as long as she didn't die prematurely, she was destined to grow into one of the pillars that supported the Luo family. And if there was a chance to strangle such a talent in the cradle, the Yang family would naturally be very happy. Lin Feng nodded slightly. He suddenly thought of something and casually asked Jun Zining, to be able to survive a Yuanying stage cultivator, how old is Luo Qingguo now? What's her cultivation level? Jun Zining was still worried. She only hoped that Lin Feng could rush over to save her as soon as possible. She answered whatever Lin Feng asked. Qingguo is 9 years old this year, and her cultivation level is at the 8th stage of qi cultivation. Lin Feng then asked, how long has she been cultivating? And how long have you been cultivating? Jun Zining looked at Lin Feng strangely, but still answered honestly, she has been cultivating for 2 years. I started cultivating later, so it's been more than 3 years now. Lin Feng quickly calculated in his mind. It seemed that Luo Qingwu's talent was not low in other areas besides her bone structure. A horizontal comparison would be enough. In the past, Xiao Yan started cultivating at the age of 8 and caused a sensation at the age of 12. Even Taishu Temple paid attention to him. Jun Zining in front of him was at the 11th stage of qi cultivation. She had been cultivating for 3 years, so she was not much worse than Xiao Yan. Her talent is weaker than Xiao Yan's, but the material treatment and the grade of the Dao technique she cultivated since young are far superior to Xiao Yan at Wuzhou City. So the two's speed is basically similar. Different material conditions naturally had a big impact. Xiao Yan's wife, Xiao Zhen, had already built her foundation at this age. Luo Qingwu, on the other hand, reached the 8th stage of qi cultivation in 2 years. To be honest, she was a little faster than Jun Zining and Xiao Yan in Wuzhou City. Through Jun Zining's words, Lin Feng could faintly see that she was also very favored in the Jun family. She was even sent to Zixiao Dao to listen for a year, so the resources she enjoyed in the family should be at the same level as Luo Qingwu. From this point of view, Luo Qingwu's talent was above Jun Zining's. Jun Zining's total 4 talent potential had reached 28, and Luo Qingwu was probably higher than her. Will it reach 30? Lin Feng was a little tempted. If the total potential reached 30, it would meet the standard of his personal disciple. A total potential of 30 was quite rare, and could be called a monstrous figure. Even in a genius concentration camp like Taishu Temple, it was rare. If placed in an ordinary sect or family, it would be a talent with the potential to become a pillar of the future. With this as the core, it could even allow the entire force to achieve leaps and bounds and ascend to a bigger stage. Thinking of this, Lin Feng immediately made a decision. He could not let this talent go so easily. Moreover, now was probably the time when she was in trouble, so the opportunity was very good. However, she was born in a cultivation family like the Luo family, and had been pampered since she was young. Her sense of belonging to the family was definitely the strongest. Even if he took her in, how to make her submit was still a problem. Otherwise, if someone exerted influence on her through the Luo family and made it unfavorable to Xianmen Tianzong, then Lin Feng would have shot himself in the foot. Lin Feng would not ask her to abandon her family and wholeheartedly support Xianmen Tianzong. That was against human nature, but at least she could maintain neutrality and not help either side. There are still many things that need to be planned and arranged, Lin Feng thought. After we meet, I'll make a decision after looking at the specific situation. Jun Zining looked at Lin Feng uneasily, as if waiting for the judgment of fate. She did not dare to urge or continue to beg, for fear that it would annoy Lin Feng. If it really doesn't work, I'll try to ask him to contact the seniors of Zixiao Path, but I'm afraid it will delay time. As Jun Zining was thinking, she saw Lin Feng looking at her. Lin Feng said silently, "Forget it. Since we are fated to meet today, I'll make a move." Jun Zining was overjoyed and quickly wanted to tell Lin Feng the location. Lin Feng smiled and shook his head, "No need." He released his divine sense to the limit, traversing through space to explore the mountains in the Kunlun mountain range. After searching a wide area and finding nothing, he manipulated Yujing Mountain to perform a spatial movement and spread out a carpet search. After searching a few areas like this, Lin Feng found something. It was a heavily injured Yuanying cultivator. He was moving with difficulty while carrying a little girl in red. The little girl in red was also seriously injured and on the verge of death. What surprised Lin Feng was that Liang Qian, Chu Yang, and the others were also in this area. Compared to when they went to Yujing Mountain with a light entourage, Liang Qian was much more ostentatious at this moment, with many cultivators accompanying him. At this moment, they were stationed and resting, while Chu Yang had left the group for some reason and was looking for something worriedly. Chapter 376. Lin Feng scanned with his divine sense and found that the little girl in red was severely injured. However, he could basically confirm that this little girl was Luo Qingguo, whom Jun Zining had mentioned. Lin Feng could sense the existence of the heaven-accumulating Yin spirit pearl in her body. However, what made Lin Feng frown was that the heaven-accumulating Yin spirit pearl was on the verge of breaking. Its surface was covered with dense cracks like a spider web. It was dim and gloomy, and the mysterious Yin spirit qi it stored had completely dissipated. Due to the damage of the heaven-accumulating Yin spirit pearl, even the little magical power that Luo Qingguo cultivated was slowly dissipating. It seems that the heaven-accumulating Yin spirit pearl has played a role in blocking Yang Su's magical power for her. Otherwise, she would have died more than 100 times. Lin Feng sighed and called out the talent detector to check. Luo Qingguo's 4 talent potential values were displayed. Root bone 9, comprehension 8, will 7, fortune 6. Lin Feng nodded his head. As expected, the total value has reached 30. If he didn't have this tribulation, he would really be a monster-like character. It's just a pity that only geniuses who are alive are true geniuses. Only by being able to completely transform their own potential into strength can they have their own place in this world. In the talent detector, Luo Qingguo's root bone value was flickering at this moment. It changed to 5 points for a while, and then back to 9 points for a while. Lin Feng knew that if the heaven-accumulating Yin spirit pearl was completely broken, Luo Qingguo's root bone value would plummet. This was different from when Tiny Tot's Supreme Spirit platform was dug out. Without the Supreme Spirit platform, Tiny Tot cultivated by himself and still established 9 first-grade spirit platforms. In the end, he condensed 9 first-grade pill cauldrons and formed a purple core that gave birth to a vision. Without the Supreme Spirit platform, Tiny Tot's root bone was still heaven-defying. But that's the privilege of the main character of an era. Not everyone has that privilege. Lin Feng shook his head and frowned slightly. If it's only the physical body or the divine soul, it'll be fine. However, the heaven-accumulating dark spirit pearl is about to shatter. This is troublesome. Other than Luo Qingguo and the heavily injured Yuanying stage Luo clan ancestor, Lin Feng also discovered that Chu Yang had separated himself from Liang Qian's group and seemed to be searching for something on his own. The current Chu Yang was completely different from when he was on Jade Capital Mountain. At that time, although the youth in front of him still had a childish look on his face, his eyes were solemn and full of vicissitudes. When Lin Feng looked into his eyes, it was as if he was looking at a person who had seen the world and was used to seeing rain, snow, wind, and frost. But at this moment, Chu Yang's entire body revealed a kind of anxiety, worry, and a faint sense of anticipation and sweetness. Lin Feng could even vaguely see a bit of self-blame, regret, and anger in the depths of his eyes. Such a complicated state of mind, coupled with Chu Yang's dazed appearance, really surprised Lin Feng. He noticed that Chu Yang seemed to be mumbling something, but when he listened carefully, he realized that it was all broken sentences. Please be alright, please be alright, Qingguo, Qingguo. Chu Yang walked between the mountain ridges and looked around. The piece of red cloth I saw just now can only be found in the ancient Yuan-Tian realm. That color is her favorite. I can't remember it wrong. At this moment, Chu Yang fell into a state of anxiety. Qingguo, the person I love the most, where are you? Please be alright. In the sky, Lin Feng's jaw had completely dropped to the ground at this moment. I don't think they're talking about the same person, right? Lin Feng's eyes were dull as his gaze moved between Chu Yang and Luo Qingguo. Looking at Chu Yang, who looked like he was looking for a wife, and then looking at the red-clothed little girl who was not even 10 years old, who was still childish and whose body had not even developed yet, Lin Feng felt that his entire person was not good. Look at your thick eyebrows, big eyes, and dignified appearance. Although you're young, you're still a man, but you're actually a strange uncle. A lelican. Lin Feng sucked in a breath of cold air and stared at Chu Yang. You bastard, why didn't I see that you had this kind of hobby before? Yes, that's right, I admit that although this little loli is still young and has not fully developed, her features are already picturesque and she's a beauty in the making. But aren't you a little too hungry for food? On the ground, Chu Yang did not know that he was currently being ridiculed by Lin Feng in the sky. Just now, he had suddenly discovered a piece of red cloth in the mountain forest with Liang Qian and the others. At that moment, he felt as if he had been struck by lightning because he recognized that this cloth was a specialty of the ancient Yuan Tian realm, and the color was the favorite color of the person who had been haunting his dreams. Over this period of time, he had dreamed countless times at night, and when he woke up with a start, the last image in his mind was that heartbreaking red figure. To Chu Yang, everything could be fake. Only that unforgettable feeling supported him, allowing him to believe that it was the reality of the future, and not an illusory dream. It must be Qinggu. The time matches, and the location, this is the Kunlun Mountains. I've always been troubled by not knowing the exact location, but now it seems that Qinggu is very close to me. I must find her, help her, and save her. Listening to Chu Yang's almost unconscious ravings, Lin Feng's brows gradually furrowed. Something's not right. From his words, it seems that he already knew that Luo Qinggu would encounter such a calamity today. Could it be that they knew each other from before? Lin Feng carefully observed Chu Yang and discovered that the blazing emotions in Chu Yang's eyes were incomparably sincere and not just a figment of his imagination. Only someone who had truly experienced painstaking and unforgettable love could project such blazing emotions. But there are also strong emotions of remorse and compensation. Lin Feng shuddered. Damn, not only is he a lelicon, could it be that he had hurt that little loli in the past? You can even lay your hands on a loli and then abandon her. Are you even human? Lin Feng glanced at Chu Yang with disdain, then shifted his gaze to Luo Qinggu in another forest. He could not help but feel a little pity for her. Sigh, girls nowadays are so young, yet they already have such rich emotional experiences. Seeing that you haven't lost your primordial yin and true yang, I don't think that lelicon has succeeded. Fortunately, otherwise the psychological trauma might be even greater. Lin Feng sighed compassionately. With a wave of his hand, a purple aura descended and covered Luo Qinggu and the Yuanying stage cultivators of the Luo family beside her. The person who was called the sixth grandfather of the Luo family by Jun Zining was an old man with white hair and a beard. At the moment, he was seriously injured, but he was still very vigilant. When he was covered by Lin Feng's power, although he was powerless, he immediately wanted to resist. I am Lin Feng, the master of the celestial sect of wonders. I was asked by a young friend, Jun Zining, to rescue you. Lin Feng said silently. The white-haired old man was startled, but he did not let down his guard. He really did not know whether Lin Feng was a friend or a foe. However, he had also heard of Lin Feng's name and knew that he could not resist. He just hugged Luo Qinggu tightly in his arms and did not say a word. Lin Feng did not intend to separate him from Luo Qinggu. Just like that, he took both of them together and brought them to Yujing Mountain. Before leaving, he looked back at Chu Yang, who was still struggling to find him. In the end, he sighed and gathered his power to draw a teleportation talisman in the air. Then, he detonated it in the air. After doing this, Lin Feng disappeared into the void. Feeling the effects of the teleportation talisman, a Yuanying cultivator beside Liang Qian immediately rushed over and discovered Chu Yang. Chu Yang forced himself to calm down and made up a story. Then, he rushed to the scene with the Yuanying cultivator. In the end, we still brushed past each other. Chu Yang felt a little regretful, but he was more relaxed. Does using the teleportation talisman mean that she is safe now? Luo Qinggu was indeed safe at the moment. Although her injuries were extremely serious, she was protected by Lin Feng's power. She would not be a problem for a while. The only thing that gave Lin Feng a headache was the heavenly spirit pearl in Luo Qinggu's body, which was on the verge of breaking. It was really troublesome to repair this thing. This thing was different from the golden elixir breaking. Luo Qingwu's heavenly spirit pearl was innately born. The heaven-mending vine was good at repairing all kinds of acquired defects, but it could not help innately born objects. After seeing Lin Feng treat Luo Qingwu and seeing Jun Zining on Yujing Mountain, the white-haired elder finally felt relieved. As soon as he relaxed, the injuries that he had been suppressing immediately flared up. Fortunately, Lin Feng was beside him. With a light flick of his finger, a purple aura covered the white-haired elder. The purple aura flashed with a dark green light. Under the effect of the cyclic purple qi, the lunar true water healed the white-haired elder's seriously injured body and soul. In just a short while, the white-haired elder's injuries had stabilized. However, he had been ambushed and had to take care of Luo Qingwu. After a series of bloody battles, his vitality was greatly damaged. Even with his Yuanying cultivation, he was still very weak. The white-haired elder bowed respectfully to Lin Feng. Luo Qi of the Luo clan thanks the master of the celestial sect for saving my life. Lin Feng waved his hand. It's fate. You and I are fated. There's no need to be so polite. Luo Qi looked worriedly at Luo Qingwu, who seemed to be sleeping soundly in the purple aura. He asked softly, Sect leader Lin, how is my grandniece? Luo Qi did not have any children. Among the many children and grandchildren in the clan, the one he doted on the most was the obedient, cute, and sometimes weird Luo Qingwu. In all fairness, Yang Su and Jun Zining and two Yuanying cultivators besieged Luo Qi. Although Luo Qi was no match for them, he still had a chance if he wanted to escape. However, it happened too suddenly. When he was ambushed, he was not with Luo Qingwu and Jun Zining. In order to save the two girls, he was taken advantage of by Yang Su and Jun Zining. He was seriously injured and almost died on the spot. Now that he had just escaped danger, Luo Qi was still most worried about Luo Qingwu's condition and safety. Lin Feng glanced at him, then looked at Jun Zining, who also had a face full of concern. After considering his words, he slowly said, his physical body and soul suffered heavy damage at the same time, but under my treatment, it is no longer a big problem. There will be no hidden dangers in the future. However, the heaven-accumulating dark spirit pearl in her body is on the verge of shattering. Hearing this, Luo Qi and Jun Zining were stunned. Luo Qi exclaimed. He did not care that Lin Feng was beside him and rushed to check on Luo Qingwu's condition. Lin Feng withdrew his magic power to make it easier for Luo Qi to check. After a while, Luo Qi's face was ashen. It's really going to shatter. Jun Zining's lips trembled, and her eyes were filled with tears. Chapter 377. Luo Qi and Jun Zining both looked as if they had died, because they knew what losing the heaven-accumulating Yin Soul Pearl meant to Luo Qingwu. Especially Jun Zining, she held her head with both hands, and a voice kept screaming in her heart, I'm the one who harmed Qingwu. If she didn't come out with me, she wouldn't have suffered this disaster. Without the heaven-accumulating Yin Soul Pearl, wouldn't she have encountered the same situation as me? Lin Feng looked at Luo Qi and Jun Zining, and he knew why they were so desperate. In cultivation families, the children of the family enjoyed the resources and benefits brought by the family environment, and they had to bear the corresponding responsibilities. For example, their marriage was often linked to the relationship of interests. On this point, men and women were the same. Relatively speaking, men had more autonomy, but in fact, it was also limited. In this cultivation world where personal strength was respected, the decisive factor was strength. The stronger the strength, the greater the autonomy. For example, if Xiao Yan was thrown back to Wuzhou City's Xiao family, that small third-rate cultivation family, no one would dare to think of marriage alliance with him. It didn't matter if he didn't have strength for the time being, as long as he showed enough potential, he could have the same effect, just like Luo Qingwu in the past. But now that the heaven-accumulating Yin Soul Pearl was about to shatter, and the halo shrouding Luo Qingwu's head was about to disappear, it went without saying what was waiting for her. For example, Luo Qi and her parents, as well as some close relatives and friends, might still dote on her, but in many important matters in the future, they would most likely have to succumb to the pressure brought by the entire family rules. Relatively speaking, this kind of situation was much rarer in sects, but sometimes it still existed. For example, Murong Yenran of the Celeritas Sword sect. Lin Feng's attitude towards this had always been neither positive nor negative. There was no absolute right or wrong, it depended on the standpoint from which one looked at this kind of problem. At this moment, he was seriously thinking about how to protect Luo Qingwu's heaven-accumulating Yin Soul Pearl so that it wouldn't shatter like this. Lin Feng also felt distressed that a good seedling with a total talent of 30 was crippled just like that. The heaven-mending vine is useless. The lunar true water is also useless. The cyclic purple qi is still useless. Lin Feng kept thinking. He had a vague idea in his mind, but it was like looking at flowers through a fog. He couldn't see it clearly. Lin Feng thought to himself, will there be anything in the system that I can use? Wait, system. A thought flashed through Lin Feng's mind. How could I forget about this? Lin Feng opened his palm, revealing a 3-inch wide, 1-inch thick grayish-white spirit stone. If one only looked at it from the outside, this spirit stone was nothing special, and one couldn't feel any powerful spiritual power fluctuations from it. It looked just like an ordinary stone brick. But in fact, this was a magic treasure embryo that Lin Feng had obtained through the lottery system of the dice. It was called the life-forging stone. The surface of the life-forging stone was as smooth as a mirror without any flaws, but it didn't have any patterns. The grayish-white surface emitted a faint purple brilliance, and it didn't seem to attract anyone's attention. But if one used his supernatural power and divine sense to delve into it, one could immediately feel the boundless vitality inside the spirit stone, as if it was nurturing a brand new universe. It was the concept of the creation power of the universe, the rebirth of heaven and earth, and the beginning of all living things. Lin Feng looked at the life-forging stone and fell into deep thought. The concept of the power of this item includes all the phenomena of postnatal life, and it also contains the innate transformation power of the beginning of heaven and earth. If I can activate the power within it, I might be able to repair Luo Qingwu's heaven-accumulating Yin Soul Pearl that's about to shatter. The problem was that if this magic treasure embryo couldn't be refined into a magic treasure, it would be difficult for it to unleash its magical effects. After thinking for a while, Lin Feng gradually sorted out a clue from his chaotic thoughts. My original intention was to refine this magic treasure in the future and set it up in the yin and yang life and death formation as one of the 2 cores of the change of life and death. Now it seems that I might be able to carry out my plan ahead of time. Although it wouldn't be refined into a magic treasure, its power would be greatly reduced, and it wouldn't be able to reach its best state. But he believed that it could still play a great role. The bipolar flowers that Lin Feng won from Chao Wei could be used to refine the life-forging stone, in addition to helping his disciples with their cultivation. With the help of the bipolar flowers and the activation of the yin and yang life and death formation, he might be able to squeeze out a part of the power of the life-forging stone. In this way, he might be able to stabilize the heaven-accumulating Yin Soul Pearl that was about to shatter in Luo Qingwu's body, or even repair it. If he could refine the life-forging stone into a magic treasure, he was confident that he could restore the heaven-accumulating Yin Soul Pearl to its original state. However, he still needed a lot of preparation and experiments. He wondered if Luo Qingwu and Luo Qi could wait any longer. At this moment, the little girl had already woken up under the nourishment of Lin Feng and Luo Qi's transcendence energy. As soon as she woke up, she saw Luo Qi and Jun Zining in front of her. Her mouth twitched, and her eyes filled with tears. 6th Grandpa, Sister Zining, Luo Qi and Jun Zining quickly surrounded her. Their hearts were extremely heavy, but they had to force a smile at this moment. Xiao Wu, this is Xianmen Tianzong, Sect Leader Lin. It's all thanks to him for saving us this time. Hurry up and thank Sect Leader Lin for saving your life. Seeing that Luo Qingwu had calmed down, Luo Qi quickly asked her to thank Lin Feng. Under Lin Feng's Transcendence Energy treatment, Luo Qingwu's external injuries had also stabilized. The little girl stood up and bowed to Lin Feng in a dignified manner. Xiao Wu thanks Uncle Lin for saving my life. Luo Qi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He quickly corrected, call him Senior Lin. For a moment he was also in a bit of a dilemma, because in the eyes of the outside world Lin Feng's age is a huge mystery. Even though he only looks like a young man in his 20s, but who knows just how many years this sect leader has lived for. Seeing that Lin Feng didn't seem to be dissatisfied, Luo Qi and Jun Zining breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. Luo Qingwu wrinkled her little nose and looked at Lin Feng, who looked completely young. After carefully examining him for a while, she knew that many people with high cultivation bases couldn't tell their actual age from their appearance. Hence, Luo Qingwu straightened her expression and bowed again. Xiao Wu thanks Senior Lin for saving my life. Lin Feng looked at the little girl and waved his hand with a smile. You may rise. He looked at Luo Qi, your injuries will recover soon. You will also recover at least half of your strength. What do you plan to do next? Luo Qi pondered for a moment. If I can recover half of my transcendence energy, I can bring Xiao Wu back to the ancient Yuan Tian world. Her current situation requires the family to gather all their strength and find a way to solve it. Sigh, if we lose the heaven-accumulating dark spirit pearl, Xiao Wu, Luo Qi didn't dare to continue thinking about it. At this time, Luo Qingwu grabbed Luo Qi's sleeve and said pitifully, "Sixth grandfather, I want to go home. I want to find Daddy and Mommy." Luo Qi looked at Luo Qingwu's ignorant little face and felt a little sour in his heart. His grandniece still didn't know the troubles she might face in the future. He showed a kind smile and deliberately teased, "Why? Does sixth grandfather not treat you well? Are you going to complain to your parents?" Luo Qingwu hugged Luo Qi's waist and said with a smile, "Sixth grandfather dotes on Xiao Wu the most. Xiao Wu hopes that sixth grandfather and Daddy and Mommy will be by her side. And first grandfather, second grandfather, third grandfather, first uncle, second uncle, fourth uncle, good, good." Luo Qi was full of smiles. They will all be by Xiao Wu's side. Luo Qingwu smiled happily, but Jun Zining turned her back to Luo Qingwu, her face full of sorrow. Lin Feng looked at this scene and sighed inwardly. If Luo Qingwu couldn't solve the problem of the heaven-accumulating dark spirit pearl when she went back, the treatment she received would definitely be worlds apart from before. In all fairness, even if that was the case, she would still live a better life than 99% of the people in this world. Her parents, her sixth grandfather Luo Qi, would still love her dearly, but in other aspects, it was as if the heavens and the earth had turned upside down. Could a child like her, who had grown up in a honey pot, bear it? Luo Qi coaxed Luo Qingwu and frowned slightly. If we want to return to the ancient origin heaven realm, we must first deal with the two brats from the Yang family. Jun Zining interrupted at this time, "Grandfather Luo, the two Yuanying ancestors of the Yang family have been captured by Senior Lin." Luo Qi was shocked, then his eyes lit up. Although Jun Zining said that Yang Su and Luo Qingwu were only captured and not killed, the Yang family had lost two Yuanying ancestors in one go in the Divine Land. Even if they could negotiate with Lin Feng to redeem them, it wouldn't be that easy. In this way, not only would it be less dangerous for him and Luo Qingwu to return to the ancient origin heaven realm, but the power balance between the Luo family and the Yang family in the ancient origin heaven realm would also be affected. Jun Zining told Luo Qi what happened. Luo Qi wanted to thank Lin Feng, but he didn't know what to say. It's true that Lin Feng saved them and did them a great favor, but for someone like Lin Feng, it's really hard to say what he's actually thinking. If Lin Feng appeared during the battle between Luo Qi and Yang Su, would the master of the Celestial Gate of Wonders think that both sides were intruders and would capture all three of them at once? Luo Qi didn't dare to act rashly. He thanked Lin Feng again for saving his life, then after resting for a while, he planned to leave with Luo Qingwu. At this moment, the heavenly dark soul pearl in Luo Qingwu's body was temporarily suppressed by Lin Feng with the spiritual power of a petal of the bipolar heaven flower, so it wouldn't shatter. However, the direct result was that Luo Qingwu couldn't cultivate Taoist techniques anymore. Once she absorbed spiritual energy into her body, the heavenly dark soul pearl would immediately shatter into pieces. Luo Qi was worried. He could only hope that the family would have a solution. His Luo family once had someone with the heavenly dark soul pearl. He left behind a lot of information, which was in the hands of the family head. That was Luo Qi's last hope. Lin Feng didn't stop them from leaving. Although he wanted to accept Luo Qingwu as a disciple, it was clearly not the right time. Whether it was for Lin Feng himself, or for Luo Qingwu and the family behind her, it was still not the right time. Sister Zining, you're not coming with us. Luo Qingwu widened her big eyes and looked at Jun Zining in surprise. Jun Zining laughed dryly. I won't go back for now. If I go back now, my father will spank my butt until it blossoms. She stole a glance at Lin Feng and smiled flatteringly. Senior Lin, can I stay here for a few more days? I promise I won't cause you any trouble. Chapter 378. Lin Feng looked at Jun Zining, who was full of smiles, but there was a hint of uneasiness hidden under that smile. Another young lady running away from home. Lin Feng understood. He looked at Jun Zining and slowly asked, It's fine for you to stay here, but if someone from your family comes, or someone from Zixiao Taoism comes to pick you up, I won't stop them. Jun Zining's smile froze. She looked pitifully at Lin Feng, Luo Qingwu, and Luo Qi, like a deflated balloon. If the Luo family returned to the ancient origin heaven realm, the Luo family would definitely know that they had contact with Lin Feng. When she and Luo Qingwu were escorted to the divine land by Luo Qi, the Jun family would naturally guess that she was with Lin Feng when the news spread back to the ancient origin heaven realm. From what Lin Feng said, if the Jun family didn't ask, he wouldn't tell them, but if they did, Lin Feng wouldn't hide it for her. Jun Zining shuddered at the thought of her father's furious expression. She quickly grabbed Luo Qi's hand and shook it. Grandpa Luo, if my father and grandfather ask about me, can you just say that I've been separated from them? Don't tell them that I'm here. She didn't need to tell Luo Qingwu. She was her little sister and would definitely understand what she meant. The key was to get past Luo Qi. Zining, to be honest, I've watched you grow up. Luo Qi sighed, Grandpa Luo can hide it for you, but you need to know that as a daughter of the Jun family, you will eventually have to go back. Luo Qi looked at Jun Zining as if he could see Luo Qingwu's future, and his heart couldn't help but ache. Jun Zining sighed and nodded, Grandpa Luo, I understand. I just want to walk around and relax. Luo Qi said, Forget it. If Sect Master Lin doesn't mind, you can stay here. At least I don't have to worry about your safety here. While Luo Qi was talking to Jun Zining, Lin Feng was looking at Luo Qingwu. The little girl was also secretly looking at Lin Feng with her big eyes. Lin Feng was now famous in the divine land, but in the ancient origin heaven realm, the higher-ups of the major forces might pay attention to him and Xianmen Tianzong, but the younger disciples with lower cultivation only had an impression of Lin Feng. Senior Lin, I heard from 6th Grandpa that you are very powerful. Is that true? Luo Qingwu saw that Lin Feng was calm and not serious, so she plucked up her courage and asked. Lin Feng smiled. As long as I cultivate hard, Qingwu will be very powerful in the future. The little girl nodded vigorously and gestured in the air with her hands. When Qingwu recovers from her injuries, I will definitely cultivate hard and become very powerful. When the bad guys from the Yang family come to bully me again, I will beat them up and run away. Lin Feng nodded with a smile. Luo Qingwu looked at Lin Feng in front of her. She could feel that even her powerful grandpa Luo Qingwu was in awe and restraint in front of this seemingly young man. But I feel that this senior is a very good person and seems to care about me. Luo Qingwu shook her head and looked at Lin Feng. She asked happily, can Xiao Wu come to senior's place to play in the future? Lin Feng was slightly stunned and didn't say anything. Luo Qi was shocked when he heard this and quickly said, Xiao Wu, be careful with your words. Don't be rude. Luo Qingwu pursed her lips and agreed with some grievance. However, Lin Feng avoided Luo Qi's eyes and ears and suddenly released a cyclic purple qi into her body. It integrated into the heaven-accumulating dark spirit pearl and merged with the spiritual power of the bipolar heaven flower petals. Xiao Wu, go home with your grandpa Luo. If you're unhappy, you can come to me. Upon receiving Lin Feng's voice transmission using magic power, Luo Qingwu immediately beamed with joy. However, she immediately put away her smile and still pretended to be unhappy. At this moment, her heart was actually filled with a little smugness of deceiving the world and fulfilling her wish. She also had a joyful feeling of secretly establishing her own little secret. After Luo Qi's injuries recovered a little, he said goodbye to Lin Feng and returned to the ancient Yuantian realm with Luo Qingwu. Jun Zining and Luo Qingwu were separated, both of them reluctant to part. Seeing Luo Qi and Luo Qingwu being sent away by Lin Feng, Jun Zining stared blankly at the void in front of her for a long time. She stole a glance at Lin Feng and asked cautiously, Senior, is it really impossible for Xiao Wu's heaven-accumulating dark spirit pearl to recover? She was worried about Luo Qingwu, but she was also afraid that her recklessness would anger Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked indifferent and said calmly, it depends on her luck. It's too early to say. Huh? After hearing this, Jun Zining felt a little confused. She pondered over the meaning of Lin Feng's words, but she couldn't figure it out. Lin Feng glanced at her and released a purple aura, sending Jun Zining to Tiny Tot's desolate sky valley. There was now a flourishing vegetation and herds of spirit beasts. It was quite a scene. However, two small figures were chasing each other in the valley at this moment, suddenly destroying the mood of the valley and causing chaos. Jun Zining appeared in the valley and stared blankly at the scene in front of her. A girl who looked to be only 5 or 6 years old flashed in front of her like a gust of wind. Just the gust of wind alone almost blew Jun Zining away. Behind the girl was an 11 or 12-year-old boy who was chasing closely, You idiot, you're stealing food again. Lin Feng's voice came from the sky, Tianhao, add a new guest to your cave abode. You're in charge of taking care of her. The boy was naturally Tiny Tot. Hearing this, he stopped and glanced at Jun Zining. Only then did Jun Zining see his face clearly. She secretly praised in her heart, what a handsome boy. Unexpectedly, Tiny Tot curled his lips and muttered, another one. Master, why do you keep shoving these silly little girls into my place? The smile on Jun Zining's face suddenly froze, and her forehead was full of black lines. I take back what I said just now. Tuntin and Zhuge Fengling, who was hiding at the side and watching leisurely, were just as dissatisfied as her. One big and one small, they roared at Tiny Tot in unison, you're the silly little boy, Tiny Tot. I almost became someone else's master. I'm no longer Tiny Tot. Shi Tianhao stood in the same place with his hands behind his back, imitating Lin Feng, I'm going to be an adult soon, just like my senior brothers. Tuntin and Zhuge Fengling shouted in unison, who was drinking milk there yesterday? Shi Tianhao's expression did not change at all. He said calmly, that's just my personal hobby, just like how Miao likes to have a drink or two when he's free. Keep bragging. Tuntin and Zhuge Fengling gave him a thumbs-down gesture in unison. Jun Zining stared at the three of them dumbfoundedly. She looked up to the sky and sighed, Senior Lin, what kind of place did you send me to? For Lin Feng, one more Jun Zining did not have much of an impact. However, the next person's visit caught Lin Feng's attention. Because Yujing Mountain was hidden in the void most of the time, it was quite difficult for many people to find Lin Feng. Lin Feng had established a relatively good relationship with the Tianmao Pavilion in Shazhou City. The two sides had frequent exchanges. In the Tianmao Pavilion, there was a part of the sound transmission crystal that could be used to contact Xianmen Tianzong. This was mainly handled by Miao Shihao, who had a good relationship with the people in the Tianmao Pavilion. Dao Master Hell. Lin Feng looked at Miao Shihao with a little surprise. Miao Shihao smiled and nodded. Rumor has it that the reincarnation sect and the Hell Path have two primordial soul experts. Among them, Lord Underworld has a higher cultivation and is the backbone of the Hell Path. However, he is in seclusion all year round. The other one is Dao Master Hell, Lu Jikuan. Nowadays, he is mainly in charge of the affairs of the Hell Path. Lin Feng's thoughts turned slightly and he already knew the purpose of Lu Jikuan's visit. The two Yuanying patriarchs of the Yang family in the ancient Yuan-Tian world were trapped in Lin Feng's hands. Because of the special nature of the ancient Yuan-Tian world, the two Yuanying patriarchs were not insignificant. Since they were not dead, the Yang family would definitely find a way to get the two back, whether it was through coercion or an apology. Others were not important enough to see Lin Feng. Only the Yang family leader, who had cultivated a primordial soul, was important enough. However, he did not dare to leave the ancient Yuan-Tian world easily. Otherwise, the Luo family, who was full of anger because of the attack on Luo Qi and Luo Qingguo, would definitely be happy to return the favor. However, they could not leave without saving them. The Yang family had no choice but to ask the reincarnation sect of the Divine Land for help. Lin Feng believed that if there was another way, the Yang family would definitely not ask the reincarnation sect for help. The price of asking for help would be painful for the Yang family for a long time. Lu Jikuan, the Dao Master of Hell, looked like a skinny middle-aged man. He had high cheekbones, bronze skin, and a faint smile on his face. He did not look lifeless like ordinary Dao of Hell cultivators. Seeing Lu Jikuan, Lin Feng smiled. Dao Master of Hell, you have brought light to my humble Yujing Mountain. Sect Master Lin, you are too polite. Lu Jikuan cupped his hands. I have been presumptuous. He cut to the chase and said, the Yang family of the ancient Yuan-Tian world has two Yuanying stage cultivators who broke into the northern foothills of the Kunlun mountain. Sect Master Lin, it is fine to punish them as a warning, but please show mercy. I came here in the hope of taking Yang Su and Luo Qi away. The reincarnation sect will remember this favor. Lin Feng did not care that Lu Jikuan had brought the entire reincarnation sect into trouble. He waved his hand and released a purple aura. Yang Su and Luo Qi landed on the ground. Lin Feng smiled faintly. Dao Master of Hell, you are too polite. If it was just to cause trouble in the Kunlun mountain, I would not mind doing you a favor. Lu Jikuan's expression did not change when he heard this, but his heart sank. Sure enough, he heard Lin Feng say, but after they were discovered, they attacked the people of the Xianmen Tianzong. I cannot let them go so easily. This was something that Lu Jikuan did not know before. He looked at Lin Feng and said, Sect Master Lin. At this time, Tai Shu's doppelganger appeared silently beside Lin Feng and looked at Yang Su with a faint smile. Seeing this, Yang Su and Luo Qi knew that they could not deny it. Their faces were ashen. Lu Jikuan's heart sank. Chapter 379. Lu Jikuan was furious when he saw Yang Su and Luo Yunyang's expressions. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. There are always such people in the ancient Yuan-Tian realm. As Lin Feng had said, if they had only broken into Xianmen Tianzong's territory and had a conflict with the Luo family, it would have been a small matter if they had been captured by Lin Feng. Lu Jikuan, the primordial soul realm expert, had personally come to visit them and had a soft attitude. It was not impossible to resolve the small matter. It was like a child breaking into someone else's yard and fighting with other children, and being caught by the owner. The owner would not pursue the matter if the parent came to apologize. But not only did you break into someone's house and make a scene, but you also beat up the owner. That was not a small matter. The owner was already being merciful by not beating you half to death on the spot. At this time, if Lu Zhikuan could get them back with just a few words, then Lin Feng's prestige in the northern foothills of Kunlun Mountain would be gone. Even Lu Zhikuan had to admit that if someone from another sect dared to cause trouble in the territory of the reincarnation sect and even dared to attack the master of the reincarnation sect, Lu Zhikuan would directly throw that person into the boundless hell and never be able to reincarnate. However, Lu Zhikuan had a headache now that he was the one paying the ransom. He glanced coldly at Yang Su and Lu Zhikuan, then turned to Lin Feng and said straightforwardly, "Since things have come to this, the reincarnation sect is willing to compensate sect leader Lin. However, I will be taking these two people with me today." The internal strife within the reincarnation sect had its ups and downs, peaks and valleys. Recently, the internal strife within the 6 reincarnation paths had reached a new climax. For the purgatory path, the resources within the ancient Yuan-Tian realm provided by the Yang clan were extremely precious. In order to preserve their strength and appease the Yang family, Lu Zhikuan gave up on the idea of using force and was prepared to use something to ransom them. Anyway, wool comes from the sheep, and the price of ransom must be paid by the Yang family. He was not afraid of Lin Feng asking for an exorbitant price. If Lin Feng really asked for an outrageous price, then they would all go their separate ways. In today's world, the righteous Tao was flourishing while the diabolism was on the decline. Although the reincarnation sect had tried their best to reduce all kinds of cultivation methods that were harmful to the natural order of the world and gradually washed themselves clean, the reincarnation sect could be said to be the super sect that acted the most like the diabolism. In order to preserve their strength in the internal strife, the Naraka path would choose to make appropriate concessions. However, if there was no room for retreat, they would just have to fight. The 6 paths of samsara would still unite against foreign enemies if they were faced with external enemies. Although Lu Zhikuan's expression was calm, his eyes were fixed on Lin Feng. His eyes were as dark and gloomy as hell. Lin Feng glanced at him, his expression still as calm as before. The reincarnation sect has a special treasure called the Stone of Death. I've heard of it for a long time, but I've never had the chance to see it. Lin Feng looked at Lu Zhikuan indifferently. He did not care about his deep, hellish eyes and said calmly, "It's okay to hand these 2 over to you, but you'll need a Stone of Death in exchange." As he spoke, Lin Feng swept his dharma and put away the dispirited Yang Su and Lu Zhikuan. "On the day that you see the Stone of Death, these 2 can leave Yujing Mountain." When Lin Feng made a move, Lu Zhikuan did not move at all. He turned a blind eye to it and his expression did not change at all. However, in reality, there was a moment when Lu Zhikuan really wanted to make a move. However, it was only for a moment. Immediately after, the strong impulse was suppressed by the Tao Master of Hell. Lin Feng's conditions made Lu Zhikuan very uncomfortable. It would be difficult to fulfill them, and it was not worth it to fall out with them. The Stone of Death was indeed a special treasure unique to the reincarnation sect. However, it did not belong to the Hell path. Instead, it belonged to the Azura path. It gathered the purest murderous intent, death, and evil chi in the world. Even a primordial soul realm cultivator could not condense this thing alone. It required a large number of cultivators who practiced a dharma law similar to the Azura technique, which was filled with violent murderous intent and death chi. It could only be formed naturally after tens of thousands of years. It contained the spiritual will of countless people, as well as the power of despair and liberation at the moment of death. It was extremely rare, but for the Azura path cultivators of the reincarnation sect, it was not very useful. The murderous intent and death chi were too pure for humans to bear. Even the cultivators who had condensed the heaven and earth dharma in the late Yuanying period could not bear it and could not use it to cultivate. As for primordial soul realm cultivators, although they could bear the aura it emitted, it was not very useful for cultivation. It was really something that was not even useful. However, if Lu Zhikuan went to ask for it, the Azura path would definitely take advantage of him. Just the thought of it made him feel aggrieved. Silently staring at Lin Feng for a long time, Lu Zhikuan finally nodded. "It's a deal. I await your good news." Lin Feng smiled. He drew a line in the air with his hand, revealing a spatial crack. Lu Jikuan stepped into the crack and left Yujing Mountain. Lin Feng stood in place and pondered for a moment. At present, only 6 of Lin Feng's personal disciples, Kang Nanhua, Miao Shihao, and the others had such talismans. The others, such as Tunten, Zhuge Fengling, Black Dragon Jiayu, and Kuei Niu King, did not have such talismans. Tunten and Zhuge Fengling had to follow the little one every time they wanted to go out. There was no need to mention the second-generation disciples and the children. Ever since they had arrived on the mountain, they had not gone out once. Those talismans were formed from Lin Feng's own magic power. Once used, Lin Feng would immediately sense it. Recently, the others had stayed on the mountain, and only the little one and the other 2 had gone out. The so-called Xianmen Tianzong disciple, who injured him, was undoubtedly an outsider in disguise. Yang Qing said, "Master, after disciple saved this young man, he regained consciousness for a short period of time. Although he was still very wary of us, we managed to get some useful information from him." After listening to Yang Qing's description, Lin Feng's brows gradually furrowed. According to the young man, he was originally a villager of the Kunlun mountain range. He had obtained the Dao inheritance of a small unaffiliated cultivator and had relied on his own exploration to gain some foundation in qi cultivation. He admired the reputation of Xianmen Tianzong and hoped to be apprenticed to a master to learn the Dao. He had heard about the opening ceremony outside the Sand Continent City and thus crossed the mountains to head to the Sand Continent City, hoping to find an immortal's destiny there. In truth, after the opening ceremony, there were many people who came to learn from Xianmen Tianzong. They naturally could not find Yujing Mountain and thus hurried to the Sand Continent City together. Back then Lin Feng had once entrusted the Heavenly Trade Pavilion to receive those who admired him and wanted to become his disciple. Miao Shihao and Kang Nanhua took turns. Every once in a while they would make a trip to Sand Continent City, bringing these people who wanted to enter the sect back to Jade Capital Mountain for Lin Feng to test. It's just a pity that currently no one has been able to pass Lin Feng's test. Those with higher potential have basically all been wiped out in one fell swoop during the Sand Continent's opening ceremony. Similarly, the people who were eliminated by Lin Feng at that time were also like carps crossing the river. This young man also had the same idea and was preparing to go to the Sand Continent City to try his luck. Who knew that he would suddenly meet a person in Kunlun Mountain? The other person claimed to be a disciple of Xianmen Tianzong and revealed a couple of spells, which immediately stunned the young man. Although this young man was lucky enough to obtain an incomplete Dao technique, he had not seen the world. Seeing that the other person's cultivation was profound and his spells were exquisite, he believed that the other person was a disciple of Xianmen Tianzong and happily decided to follow the other person back to the mountain to be his disciple. Who knew that this disciple of Xianmen Tianzong tricked him into going on his way and stopped him halfway? He actually wanted to use him to practice a spell that required sacrificing living souls. The young man risked his life to escape, but he was also heavily injured. In the end, he met the 3 people who had gone out to play. Yang Qing said to this point and hesitated for a moment before saying, "Master, when I treated his injuries just now, I felt that the spell that injured him was very familiar." At the side, Shi Tianhao nodded and said, "Fifth senior brother, your feeling was right." He laughed coldly, "Hee, an old acquaintance." Chapter 380. Hearing that the little guy said it was an old acquaintance, Yang Qing's eyes lit up. "So I didn't see wrong?" Lin Feng quietly said, "That's right, they are indeed old acquaintances. After the battle outside the Sand Continent City, the other party has laid down their flags and stopped making any movements. The news that came is that their primordial spirit cultivator is in seclusion. Now it seems that they don't dare to take revenge on the surface, but are secretly making small moves." The little guy Shi Tianhao said, "Master, there is another point of doubt." He pointed to the young man who was still unconscious in the bronze void cauldron, looking at the remaining aura of the other party's magic power in this person's injury. The person who injured him has a cultivation far above him. If they really wanted to kill him, they could pinch him to death with one finger. It is impossible to let him live. Yang Qing said, deliberately leaving him alive to achieve the goal of discrediting our Xianmen Tianzong. Shi Tianhao nodded repeatedly. It is very likely that the other party has this idea. I am afraid it is more than that. Lin Feng glanced at the young man and said, you guys come with me. Lin Feng's main body was still sitting in Yujing Mountain, controlling the iron tree clone to bring the little guy and the others out of the mountain and landed in the Kunlun mountain range. After landing, Lin Feng said silently, spread out and search with your spiritual sense. See if the little guy from the Wind God sect is an individual act or a planned action of the Wind God sect as a whole. The person who pretended to be a Xianmen Tianzong disciple and injured the young man, looking at the remaining aura of magic power, was a cultivator of the Wind God sect. The place where Lin Feng led everyone to land was at the northern edge of the Kunlun mountain range. If they went further north out of the mountains, they would enter the desert area, and Shazhou city would be in sight. Xianmen Tianzong and the others began to go south from here, gradually expanding the search area and sweeping over. Lin Feng was naturally the main force, covering a large area with his spiritual sense. After a period of searching, Lin Feng found something. Although he isn't from the Wind God sect, he is still an old acquaintance. Isn't it a little inappropriate for him to appear in such a place? Lin Feng sneered. He used his spiritual consciousness to explore, but did not find any Wind God sect cultivators, but found another familiar magic power fluctuation. That was the mana ripple of one of the four great clans of the Great Qin dynasty, the Yu clan. There were even direct descendants who cultivated the dark nether art, and the lowest cultivation level was at the foundation establishment stage. Besides the Yu clan cultivators, there were two other youths in their group, and both of them were injured and seemed to be in a state of shock. The two youths sat among the cultivators of the Yu clan. One of them said in a trembling voice, I didn't expect the people in Xianmen Tianzong to be so cruel and vicious. They're no different from demons. The other youth had a look of agreement and kept nodding his head. Beside them sat a young man in white. He was at the foundation establishment stage, but he was a direct descendant of the Yu clan. When he heard this, the corner of his mouth raised into an imperceptible proud smile. The young man in white looked at the two youths and said gently, the cultivation world has always been a cruel world, and it is far from as beautiful as you think. There are many cultivators who, in order to obtain great power, will often take risks out of desperation and do some evil deeds. Their actions, we call them evil and crooked. The number of people who died in the hands of these cultivators is more than the number of people who died in any bloody war you've seen in the secular world. The two youths gasped, and their faces revealed a look of fear. The young man in white guided them patiently and said, we cultivators, although we struggle against the heavens and struggle in this cruel process, we disdain to involve the people of the secular world. We also detest these kinds of evil and constantly fight against them to exterminate them. Over time, the living space of these evil and crooked cultivators becomes smaller and smaller. Under the pressure we bring, they gradually learn to disguise themselves and pretend to be righteous cultivators like us. But in reality, their ultimate goal is to deceive the world and satisfy their own selfish desires. The young man in white slowly said, Xianmen Tianzong is one of these evil and crooked cultivators. You've personally experienced their cruelty. The two youths revealed expressions of shock, anger, hatred, and fear. I really didn't expect that they would actually be so cruel and vicious. We even wanted to enter the celestial sect of wonders to learn immortal arts in vain. We were really blind. The young man in white shook his head and said with a smile, you can't be blamed. You've never come into contact with our world before, so there are many things you don't know. This is also natural. One of the youths asked timidly, I heard that Xianmen Tianzong opened their doors in Sand Continent City and accepted many people into the sect. Those who entered, didn't they all, maybe not all of them, but many of them must have been killed. The young man in white said with a face full of regret, the so-called opening ceremony in Sand Continent City was the biggest scam set up by Xianmen Tianzong. It attracted countless people like you who don't know the truth, like moths to a flame. At that time, many people, including our Yu family, rushed to stop it, but the opponent's demonic arts were powerful and exceeded our expectations. Many of our family's experts did not show up, so in the end, Xianmen Tianzong succeeded. He looked at the two youths and said, "This has also become the biggest regret in the lives of many righteous people. If we could have stopped Xianmen Tianzong's scam back then, I think we could have saved many people." Looking at the regretful expression on the young man in white, the two youths carefully comforted him, "Immortal Elder, don't take it to heart. I believe you didn't want this to happen." "Yes, so we're now trying our best to make up for it, hoping to avoid greater losses and prevent more people from being deceived by Xianmen Tianzong. That's why we could save you." The young man in white looked at the two children and a smile appeared on his face. "At least we didn't work hard for nothing." One of the youths showed a determined expression and suddenly bowed to the young man in white. "Immortal Elder, please accept me. I want to learn immortal arts from Immortal Elder. In the future, when I succeed in learning, I will follow Immortal Elder to fight against a devil like Xianmen Tianzong who is golden on the outside but rotten on the inside. If Immortal Elder hadn't saved us from the hands of Xianmen Tianzong's devil, we would have died long ago." The other youth also hurriedly bowed. "Immortal Elder, please accept me as well. I also want to learn skills to fight the devil and save other people who have been deceived." The young man in white smiled. These two youths had a good foundation. He nodded repeatedly. "It's really rare for the two of you to have such righteousness. Even if I have to risk the punishment of the elders in my family, I will definitely teach you Taoist arts. Good children like you will definitely become the backbone of the cultivation world in the future and fight against evil and crooked cultivators like Xianmen Tianzong." The white-robed young man felt rather pleased with himself. "I've taken in another two good seedlings." Just as he was feeling happy, a calm and indifferent voice suddenly rang in his ears. "Aren't you a little too immersed in your role?" The young man in white was suddenly stunned. Then, his expression changed greatly. Then, he saw the sky above his head instantly turn purple. The group of Yu family cultivators were all shocked. Then, they noticed that a few figures had suddenly appeared in front of them. The one in front was a tall man with bronze skin and a bold face. This person looked so unfamiliar. The young man in white composed himself. He had already memorized the images of important figures like Xianmen Tianzong in his mind, but he had never seen Lin Feng's iron tree clone. However, the young man in white recognized the 11 or 12-year-old handsome youth next to Lin Feng with a single glance. "Shi Tianhao." The expressions of all the Yu family cultivators sunk. Not only the Shi family, but also the Yu family. The little Shi Tianhao was also an existence that made people's hearts heavy. No one could have thought that the infant who almost died back then would actually make a comeback and once again threaten the dual-pupiled individual that the Yu family had heavily invested in. During the Desolate Sea Assembly, Shi Tianhao's skills suppressed everyone. Even his senior disciple Zhu Yi from the same sect lost to him after a fierce battle. This youth's name had already resounded throughout the world. How could the Yu family, who had always been paying attention to him, not notice him? The young man in white knew that even if everyone here added together, they wouldn't be able to defeat the little guy. He secretly crushed the crystal, but who knew that there would be no reaction? "It's this purple mist." He raised his head and glanced at the surrounding space that was completely enveloped by purple mist. He clenched his teeth and crushed another spirit talisman, transforming into a streak of white light that directly flew into the sky. This was a spirit talisman made by the Yu family's Yuanying ancestor. It was specially used to send messages. It didn't have any offensive power, but its penetrative power was extremely strong. Unfortunately, when the white light touched the purple mist, it still couldn't fly out, and was firmly trapped by the purple mist. A feeling of despair immediately arose in the heart of the young man in white. He laughed bitterly and said, Xian Men Tianzong, good move. When Lin Feng heard this, he couldn't help but laugh and shake his head. You still have the mood to act at a time like this, your willpower is quite tenacious. It must be said that this person's persistence was still effective. At the very least, those two children were currently staring at Lin Feng and the others with a face full of hatred. Although their bodies were slightly trembling and their faces also revealed fearful expressions, their gazes could still be considered firm. Lin Feng didn't even look at the two little fellows. He only looked at the group of Yu family cultivators with interest and said indifferently, looks like it wasn't an individual's last-minute action, but rather a planned action by you and the Wind God sect. The Wind God sect's people are responsible for pretending to be my Xianmen Tianzong disciples to capture and injure people, then you will pretend to save people, acting out a beautiful double spring stratagem. Lin Feng's expression was calm, ruining my sect's reputation, and taking in outstanding talents, killing two birds with one stone. After Xiao Budian brought the injured youth back, Lin Feng used the talent detector to check his talent. The total value of the 4 talents was 23. It couldn't be said to be very high, but in fact it wasn't low either. The two youths in front of him, their talents were also very good, especially their innate talent was quite good. Whether it was the Wind God sect or the Yu family, they both specially picked those with good talents. Although they didn't have the talent detector like Lin Feng, they had a way to see the quality of these youths' innate talent. Lin Feng said indifferently, it's impossible for the Wind God sect to specially help your Yu family. You guys should be working together to help each other sing a double act, right? His divine sense suddenly spread out, expanding to the limit in all directions. Very quickly, he found another group of cultivators. They were the descendants of the Wind God sect. Chapter 381. Since the Wind God sect and the Yu clan cooperated to perform a double act, then the two sides definitely wouldn't be far apart in order to cooperate and communicate. Lin Feng's divine sense swept the surroundings and quickly found a group of Wind God sect disciples. As expected, there were also 2 ordinary youths among them. They were injured and still in shock. Presumably, the Yu clan cultivators pretended to be Xianmen Tianzong's successor in front of these 2 youths, then the Wind God sect would rescue them. At this moment, far away from the crowd, a Wind God sect cultivator was arguing with another person. You couldn't find him, so you're blaming us? Lin Feng judged based on his magic power and aura that the other person was a Yu clan disciple. At this moment, his face was gloomy. We waited on the agreed route, but we didn't see him, so naturally we came to find you. He looked at the Wind God sect cultivator in front of him and sneered, you can't be thinking of swallowing him yourself, right? Don't blame me for not reminding you. If you really wanted to take him in, you would definitely be exposed when you pretended to be Xianmen Tianzong's disciple and injured him. That's also the reason why we agreed to cooperate back then. The Wind God sect cultivator snorted, I'm not that stupid. Of course I understand this logic, so I'll say it again. I did lead that kid to your side, but then I directly met you. I'm also curious where that kid ran off to. The Yu clan disciple's face became even more gloomy. If it's really as you say, then I'm afraid things have changed beyond our expectations. You're saying. The Wind God sect cultivator wasn't stupid either. He immediately thought of something and his face changed slightly. Someone else saved him? The Yu clan disciple nodded slowly. That kid only has a bit of Qi cultivation foundation. He couldn't have escaped the search of us 2 foundation establishment stage cultivators. The only explanation is that a third party interfered. A faint layer of fear appeared on his face. What I'm most afraid of is, what if it was Xianmen Tianzong who met him and took him away? As they spoke, the sky above their heads suddenly turned purple, and the surging purple aura completely covered the space. Everyone's expression changed greatly. In the next moment, they saw Lin Feng and his disciples slowly walking out from the purple aura. Lin Feng turned to look at the tiny Shi Tianhao and said with a smile, the child you saved seems to have escaped from the hands of the 2 of them. Shi Tianhao looked at the group of Wind God sect cultivators and the Yu clan cultivator, slowly said, unfortunately, I, Xianmen Tianzong, ran into you. The other party didn't even have the chance to retaliate, and they were all captured. The two children who had been coerced in the group were the same as the children from the Yu family. Lin Feng nodded slightly. All the kidnapped children would be sent to him to be gathered together. The Wind God sect also has a middle-stage Yuanying cultivator in charge of the overall situation. After Lin Feng found out what he wanted, he called Zhu Yi over to take the people away and put them in custody. He stood alone under the mysterious heaven treasure tree, looking at the void for a long time without saying a word. After a while, Zhu Yi returned. Shi Tianhao, Wang Lin, and the other disciples also came before Lin Feng. Only Xiao Yan was in seclusion, so Lin Feng didn't let anyone disturb him. Kang Nanhua and Miao Shihao also arrived. Kang Nanhua frowned and didn't say anything, while the usually unruly Miao Shihao glanced at Lin Feng and said slowly, "Sect Master, this matter can't be ignored." Lin Feng smiled slightly. "Shihao, don't worry, I know what I'm doing." At this moment, Zhu Yi and the others already understood the whole story. Lin Feng also told them the information he got from Yu Cheng's mouth. Everyone was enraged. "Master, disciple feels that something is wrong," Zhu Yi said slowly after pondering for a while. When Lin Feng heard this, the corner of his mouth revealed a trace of a smile. His right hand pointed at Zhu Yi. "Little Yi, you're very attentive." Yang Qing and Yu Hongyan were slightly stunned. The little guy was also somewhat baffled, while Wang Lin fell into deep thought. Kang Nanhua and Miao Shihao looked at each other and both of them also started thinking. Lin Feng looked at the little guy Shi Tianhao and asked, "Tianhao, what's your strongest thought now?" "Master is talking about the strongest and most direct thought." Shi Tianhao replied, "To find the two Yuanying ancestors of the Yu family and the Wind God sect. They must have a way to know the specific whereabouts of the disciples of the two parties who entered Kunlun Mountain to cause trouble. This way, we can catch them all in one fell swoop. And the people who were kidnapped before, if they were not sent back to their respective lairs, they must be in the hands of the two Yuanying ancestors." Lin Feng said with a smile, "Then tell me, who is more suitable to catch them?" Little Shi Tianhao said straightforwardly, "It's not like before when the situation was unclear. Now that things are clear, there's no need to trouble Master to personally take action. The other side has two middle nascent soul stage experts. Eldest apprentice brother's closed-door training aside, me, second apprentice brother, third apprentice brother, Mr. Kong and Mr. Miao, Jiayu, Kuei Niu King and Tunten, 4 out of the 8 of us can guarantee victory. Disciple wants to meet the Yu family ancestor." At this point, Shi Tianhao's voice suddenly paused, and a look of understanding appeared on his face. He turned his head to look at Zhu Yi, only to see his second senior brother slowly nodding. He looked at Lin Feng again, and Lin Feng smiled slightly. Shi Tianhao immediately understood and kept silent. But the coldness in his eyes became more intense, and he laughed, "Hey, Yu family." Everyone present gradually came back to their senses at this moment. Yu Hongyan snorted, "Trap." There was a hint of anger in Yang Qing's voice. "Moreover, it is a vicious trap aimed at little junior brother." Wang Lin said, "Little junior brother is the main target, and the rest of us are also within their calculations. I'm afraid that except for Master, they have no confidence in keeping us here. They will only be satisfied if they trap most of us." Lin Feng's expression was indifferent, and there was even a hint of a smile on his face. Slowly, he looked at the two protectors and several personal disciples in front of him and said, "Our sect is newly established, and has recently risen in the Divine Land. It is to be expected that other forces would target us." Through interrogating Yu Cheng, Lin Feng already knew that the Yu family and Wind God sect's plan only started after the Desolate Sea Assembly. It seemed that the Xianmen Tianzong disciples had been in the limelight during the Desolate Sea Assembly, especially the little guy Shi Tianhao's strong performance, which had stimulated their nerves. Wind God sect, Yu family. Ha! Lin Feng chuckled and sent out a purple chi with a wave of his hand, pulling Tunten in front of him. Slowly, Lin Feng said, Tunten, I need you to contact your father, Taotai Saint. Tunten looked at Lin Feng in surprise. Although she had thought of returning to Infinite Wasteland after her body was reconstructed, she ultimately chose to stay on Yujing Mountain because she coveted the delicacies on Yujing Mountain. However, Lin Feng helped her establish contact with her family. To Tunten's surprise, her father, Taotai Saint, ordered her to stay in the Divine Land and return when she had enough fun. Besides that time, Lin Feng had no contact with Taotai Saint. Tunten was a little surprised that he suddenly made a request. After the communication was established, an extremely deep voice, like an endless abyss, came from the other side. Sect Master Lin, how have you been? Taotai Saint is too polite. Silently, Lin Feng said, Today, I actually want to ask Taotai Saint to help me contact someone. There was no fluctuation in Taotai Saint's voice. Who? Lin Feng said a name, and the Taotai sage suddenly fell silent. Lin Feng was not in a hurry, and waited quietly. After a long while, Taotai Saint answered, Okay. The communication was then cut off. Lin Feng turned his head and looked at the crowd. Master often tells you, we, the disciples of the Celestial Sect of Wonders, can eat anything, but we can't lose out. When the guests come, there will be wine, and when the wolves come, there will be knives and spears. Whoever dares to provoke us will be sent to the underworld to be reincarnated. He chuckled. The battle before the opening ceremony was the first battle in which we, Xianmen Tianzong, announced our existence to the world. It seems that we haven't hurt someone yet. This time, let's make more blood flow. Chapter 382. After ending the call with Taotai Sage, Lin Feng flicked his fingers. A light spot flew into the air and turned into a ball of light in the sky. The scene changed and finally stabilized. It reflected a dazzling golden sea of fire. Staring at it, one would feel as if they were looking at the sun. With such a powerful fire of the sun, the identity of the other party was self-evident. One of the 10 sages of the demon race, the Golden Crow Sage. Lin Feng said lightly, Golden Crow Sage, how have you been? The other side could only hear the sound of the fire jumping and exploding. After a long time, a loud voice was heard. Master of the Celestial Sect. Lin Feng smiled. After the opening ceremony in the Sand Continent, he released the captured Fire Crow Demon Commander and Fire Crow Young Master. Before the two demons left, Lin Feng gave them a ball of purple gas and asked them to pass it to the Golden Crow Sage. At that time, Lin Feng established contact with the Golden Crow Sage and reached an agreement from time to time. Master of the Celestial Sect, do you mean that the time has come? The Golden Crow Sage asked slowly. Lin Feng smiled. It's right in front of us. Golden Crow Sage, get ready. When the time comes, I will inform you on time. After a moment of silence, the Golden Crow Sage replied, That's settled. I'll wait for your good news. The light faded. Kang Nanhua, who was beside Lin Feng, frowned slightly and sent a voice transmission to Lin Feng through magic power. Master, if the news of us allying with the demon race gets out, I'm afraid it won't be good for our sect's reputation. He was not questioning Lin Feng's decision. He was just worried. At present, the human race and the demon race were still in a state of opposition. Lin Feng glanced at him and then at the others. He smiled. When did I say that I was going to ally with the demon race? Kang Nanhua was slightly stunned and fell into deep thought. After a moment, a look of realization flashed in his eyes. Master, what do you plan to do? Lin Feng smiled. The starting point of this battle is to deal with the Wind God sect and the Yu family who dared to provoke the Celestial sect. But if that's all, it would be too boring. Speaking of which, I have to thank the Yu family and the Wind God sect for giving me such a great opportunity for Xianmen Tianzong. Under Lin Feng's orders, Xiao Budian and the others all revealed smiles on their faces, feeling excited as they went off to prepare. When Lin Feng was the only one left, he looked into the distance and murmured to himself, "Everything is ready, only the east wind is missing." In the central region of the Kunlun mountain range, a group of cultivators gathered in a valley in the mountains that roughly separated the north and the south. These cultivators stayed together in twos and threes, and there were more than a dozen children among them. Although they were all injured, their emotions were still stable. Among them, the sound of cursing the celestial sect of wonders could be faintly heard. The cultivators sat together in twos and threes. Among them, there were more than 10 children. Although they were injured, their emotions were still stable. Among them, cursing Xianmen Tianzong could be faintly heard. Silently, the white-clothed old man sat on a rock. There was not a trace of magic power or aura coming from his body. However, his whole body seemed to have merged with the void. Above his head, there was a faint clear air coming down from the 9 heavens. The white-clothed old man was the Yuanying middle-stage ancestor of the Yu family, Yu Shiling, who led the team into the Kunlun mountain range. After listening to the report of the 4 golden elixir period cultivators, Yu Shiling nodded. "Well done." One of the golden elixir period cultivators said, "There are still 3 groups of people who have not returned. I think there will be some gains." Silently, Yu Shiling ordered, "Make sure to contact them once a day. Once you lose contact with any of the disciples, immediately report to me." The 4 golden elixir period cultivators nodded and retreated. All the disciples of the Yu family stayed far away, not daring to disturb their ancestors' rest. When Yu Shiling was the only one left, he stood up from the rock and bowed respectfully toward the sky. "Patriarch, everything is going according to plan. Those with poor aptitudes have been released by the children. When they reach the Sand Continent and spread the news, Xianmen Tianzong will probably hear about it. When the time comes, he will naturally come to investigate." In the sky, a water droplet that looked like an ice crystal suddenly condensed and floated between heaven and earth. To an ordinary person, the water droplet was so small that it could not be seen with the naked eye. However, in the eyes of the Yuanying middle stage Yu Shiling, it only felt that this water droplet covered the entire sky. It was so big that it could not be estimated. It was as if the heaven and earth were frozen in this water droplet. A low voice came from the water droplet. This voice could not be heard by others. In the world, only Yu Shiling could hear it. And to Yu Shiling, the voice was like the sound of a golden bell, resounding in all directions. "If the master of the celestial sect of wonders does not appear, everything is up to you. There is only one principle, Shi Tianhao cannot be left alive." Hearing this, Yu Shiling hurriedly nodded. "Yes, Patriarch." The water droplet in the sky disappeared in the blink of an eye. On the Jade Capital Mountain, Lin Feng sat cross-legged in the main seat of the All Heavens Hall, resting with his eyes closed. Suddenly, he opened his eyes and waved his hand to shoot out a purple gas, opening a door in the space. Then, he saw Hell Dao Master Lu Jikuan slowly walk out of the door. A faint smile appeared on Lu Jikuan's skinny face, just like when they first met. "Sect leader Lin, we were unable to congratulate you at the opening ceremony. The entire sect is deeply regretful." Slowly, Lu Jikuan said, "This death cheese stone is a congratulatory gift. Please don't laugh at it." As he spoke, Lu Jikuan took out a dark rock. It was only the size of an egg in his palm, but Lin Feng knew that it was because Lu Jikuan compressed the space with his magic power. The original volume of the black rock was probably the size of a small house. Although it was suppressed by Lu Jikuan's magic power, Lin Feng could also feel the monstrous killing intent and death chi from it, which was almost suffocating. Lin Feng almost unconsciously operated all the magic power in his body to resist. "It's really powerful. My original guess was right. This is what I need," Lin Feng thought to himself. He suppressed the surging of his magic power and secretly operated the magic power of the All Heavens barrier. Suddenly, he felt much better. Lin Feng thought to himself, I have cultivated the Tao of Tao Te Ching. My magic power and magic power have far surpassed that of cultivators of the same level, but I still feel waves of discomfort. Those below the primordial soul realm who can resist this death chi stone are rare, let alone use it for cultivation. However, ordinary primordial soul adepts, even if they were from the Azura Tao or the ancient sect of killing gods, would not be able to use this stone. It is of little value. It might be of some use to smash people, but in my hands, it is a treasure. Lin Feng looked at Lu Jikuan and smiled, Hell Tao Master, you are too polite. I am deeply grateful for the hospitality of your sect. After receiving the Death Chi Stone, Lin Feng waved his hand and a magic power wrapped up Yang Su and Lu Jikuan and landed on the ground. Lu Jikuan glanced at the two lightly, remember to be careful in the future. You are also a person who has formed your nascent soul. Being so rash is courting death. As nascent soul stage cultivators, Yang Su and the black-robed old man used to be able to do whatever they wanted in the ancient origin heaven realm. Countless people fawned over them, and the two of them couldn't remember the last time they were scolded like grandchildren. However, facing Lu Jikuan, the two could only lower their heads and accept his teachings. They did not dare to show any dissatisfaction, we will follow Hell Tao Master's teachings. The two then bowed to Lin Feng, thank you, Taoist Tao Master, for your magnanimity and forgiveness. Lin Feng nodded slightly and no longer looked at them. Instead, he began to talk with Lu Jikuan. The two chatted for a while, then Lu Jikuan took Yang Su and Lu Jikuan away. Lin Feng smiled and said, take care, Hell Tao Master. I will not see you off. Slowly, Hell Tao Master Lu Jikuan said, please stay, Taoist Tao Master. There is no need to see you off. After saying that, he used his magic power to roll up the dejected Yang Su and Lu Jikuan and left Yujing Mountain through the space passage set up by Lin Feng. After seeing the three of them off, Lin Feng breathed a sigh of relief, finally, the thing is in place. He took out the Death Chi stone and saw that it was wrapped in a small world. It was shaking violently, and billowing black gas came out, attacking the small world formed by the cyclic purple chi. The cyclic purple chi palm, which created and evolved all things, was extremely resistant to the black gas coming out of the Death Chi stone. The two sides collided fiercely, and the small world almost collapsed. Slow down, slow down. Lin Feng smiled and said, the cyclic purple chi is the clear chi from the beginning of the world. It contains the concept of creation and evolution, and can transform all things. But after all, it did not start before the world was created, and it is not the most primitive innate power of creation. Your opponent is it. Lin Feng flicked his finger, and a light spot floated in the air, turning into a small spell formation. Although the area of the spell formation was small, the pattern inside was extremely complicated. It was a large number of spell formation diagrams stacked on top of each other. Lin Feng put the Death Chi stone in, and then he put in another item. It was the life-sealing stone. The two treasures met in the spell formation, and immediately they were evenly matched. Not only did the Death Chi stone go berserk, but even the seemingly ordinary life-sealing stone also moved. It was as if a great creature with infinite vitality was waking up from a deep sleep, stabilizing the universe and reopening the world. Lin Feng smiled immediately, very good. As expected, with the Death Chi stone, I can even stimulate a part of the spiritual power in the life-sealing stone. He then added the petals of the bipolar heaven flower and added some energy to the life-sealing stone. Vigorous vitality instantly filled the spell formation. On the other hand, the Death Chi stone was forced into a corner. In the end, it was like a completely enraged ferocious beast. Strands of thread-like black gas emerged from all over its body. It was extremely ferocious, and wherever it passed, life force would retreat. Not only did the life-sealing stone and the bipolar heaven flower feel threatened, even the spell formation's operation became choppy, as if it was affected by the Death Chi, and it gradually weakened and died. Annihilating Death Chi. Success. A bright smile appeared on Lin Feng's face, and it was a bright smile. The east wind is here, and now everything is ready. It's time to settle the score. He put away the spell formation, and with a burst of magic power, he released Yu Cheng and the leading foundation establishment cultivator from the Wind God sect. He said to them calmly, I wanted you to maintain a smooth connection with the other side. From today onwards, you can cut it off. It's time for me to get going. In the void, Mount Yujing, which was surrounded by purple gas, suddenly shook. The branches and leaves of the Xiantian treasure tree at the top of the mountain swayed, flashing with colorful light. The next moment, the huge mountain suddenly disappeared in the void. Meanwhile, in Mount Kunlun, Lin Feng's iron tree clone led the group, riding on Jiayu and Kuei Niu King respectively. Soon, they arrived at the place where Yu Shiling and the Yuanying cultivator of the Wind God sect were hiding. Silently, Lin Feng said, Be careful. Everyone agreed in unison and immediately set off in two groups. Kang Nanhua, Kuei Niu King, Zhu Yi, Wang Lin, and Yang Qing formed a team to find trouble with the Wind God sect. Miao Shihao, Tiny Tot, Tunten, Jiayu, and Yu Hongyan formed a team to go to the valley where Yu Shiling and the other cultivators of the Yu family were. Jiayu revealed his incomparably huge dragon body and hovered above the valley. Tiny Shi Tianhao stood on his head, silently staring at the valley below, and slowly said, Jiayu, let's go down. Black Dragon Jiayu let out a long roar, turned into a black light, and rushed down to the valley below like a meteor. In the valley, Yu Shiling, who had discovered that Yu Cheng and the others had lost contact with him, had been waiting for a long time. When he discovered the aura fluctuations of Jiayu and the others, he immediately clasped his palms together, and the ice-blue Xianming true water appeared, turning into a huge ice shield. Jiayu was like a sharp spear, heavily piercing the ice shield and directly shattering it. However, the power of Jiayu's attack was also completely neutralized by Yu Shiling's ice shield, and the momentum was immediately stopped. Xianming true water is indeed extraordinary. Although it is not as gifted as the demon race's Xianming beast race, it is still very rare. Jiayu's heart trembled. Although he was an early-stage demon king, the dragon race was innately strong, and it was not a problem for him to fight against a mid-stage Yuanying human cultivator. However, a mid-stage Yuanying cultivator like Yu Shiling who had mastered Xianming true water made the old black dragon have no choice but to be careful. However, there was someone who would not give Jiayu this opportunity. The little guy on his head that was even more ferocious than an archaic vicious beast cub directly soared into the sky, turning into a bolt of lightning, and charged towards Yu Shiling with an even more ferocious attitude than Jiayu. Yu Shiling coldly snorted, Let's see how capable a junior like you is. He formed a hand seal, and a large amount of Xianming true water suddenly appeared in the air. It gathered together like a glacier, blocking the little guy's path. Wind and lightning surged on the little Shi Tianhao's body, and his entire body turned into a 2-meter-tall ghost of wind and lightning. A ferocious fist bombarded the Xianming true water. The Xianming true water fluctuated, but it did not shatter. Taking a deep breath, the golden elixir in Shi Tianhao's body trembled. The 9 orifices of the Xiantian realm started to devour the spiritual energy and convert it into boundless arcane energy. The power of wind and lightning that shrouded Shi Tianhao interacted with each other, increasing his strength once more. The ghost of wind and lightning didn't grow in size, but its body that was originally purple had turned pitch black. Even Yu Shiling's Xianming true water couldn't withstand the violent energy. It was shattered layer by layer like a glacier. Yu Shiling's heart trembled. He had long heard that Shi Tianhao's arcane energy was robust, and his cultivation in the golden elixir period wasn't any weaker than a Yuanying cultivator. In the past, Yu Shiling felt that with his mid-stage Yuanying cultivation, his arcane energy would surpass an early-stage Yuanying cultivator in terms of quantity and quality. Thus, he should be able to suppress the little guy. But after exchanging blows, he realized that the advantage he had was extremely small. It was so small that it couldn't determine the outcome of the battle. Thinking about it, Yu Shiling's Xianming True Water emitted an even more intimidating aura. It was desolate and ancient, as if it had existed since ancient times. It froze everything in the surroundings, including space. Shi Tianhao had transformed into a massive body of wind and lightning. Wind and lightning surged on his face, making it impossible to see his facial features. However, Yu Shiling could sense a smile on Shi Tianhao's face. With a buzzing sound, a three-legged bronze cauldron appeared above Shi Tianhao's head. As an azure luster flickered, Shi Tianhao's arcane energy was infused into his body. Layers of spatial fluctuations bombarded Yu Shiling's Xianming True Water. Shi Tianhao let out a thunderous roar and changed his stance into the double-pole hammer of the 8-trigram sky-crumbling hammer. The destructive power exploded continuously, and in an instant, it actually forcefully broke through Yu Shiling's Xianming True Water. Yu Shiling's expression didn't change. He put his palms together, and an extremely condensed drop of Xianming True Water appeared above his head. The ice-blue Xianming True Water continuously compressed until it became pure black, cold and gloomy. Eternal Xianming Arrow. Yu Shiling activated his arcane energy, and the black water droplet turned into a slender stream of light, shooting towards Shi Tianhao like an arrow released from a bow. The primordial Xianming Arrow flew through the space, leaving behind a clear black line. That was not the remnant of dermic powers. Instead, the primordial Xianming Arrow had frozen and shattered the space it passed through, forming a crack in space. Wherever the eternal Xianming Arrow passed through, everything in the world was frozen and shattered. Facing this arrow, Shi Tianhao suddenly raised his hand and softly shouted, "Space!" The space formula of the black-yellow four-word formula was activated, and a majestic force that filled the surroundings forcefully suppressed the void. However, Yu Shiling's cultivation was far above that of Song Qingyuan from the Heaven Pools sect in the Desolate Sea Assembly. The little guy's cultivation was at the middle stage of the Aurous Core stage, so he was unable to completely stop the primordial Xianming Arrow. However, under the power of the space formula that suppressed the surrounding space, even the previously incomparably domineering eternal Xianming Arrow became sluggish. From its original lightning-fast speed, it instantly became difficult to move. Shi Tianhao patted his head, and a white light flew out. A pure white round mirror appeared in the air. It was the Ice Soul Cold Light mirror that he had won from defeating Song Qingyuan at the Desolate Sea Assembly. With Lin Feng's help, this artifact had already been successfully refined by Shi Tianhao. The Ice Soul Cold Light mirror aimed at the eternal Xianming Arrow in the air, and a beam of blue-white mirror light shot out, enveloping the arrow. Yu Shiling's Xianming True Water would have the upper hand if he had only used the mirror to fight against the Xianming True Water. However, the eternal Xianming Arrow had already been suppressed by Shi Tianhao's space formula. Now that it was illuminated by the mirror light of the Ice Soul Cold Light mirror, it immediately crumbled and disappeared. Miao Shihao and Jia Yu stood in the air without doing anything, while Tunten and Yu Hongyan respectively began to sweep through the Yu family's Golden Elixir period and Foundation establishment stage cultivators in the valley. However, at this moment, a majestic will suddenly came from the distant sky, arriving in the blink of an eye. Miao Shihao and Jia Yu exchanged a look. Sect leader's prediction was indeed correct. A crack was torn in the sky in the distance, and a person walked out from it. The magic power around his body shook the void, and a clear chi shot straight into the 9 heavens from the top of his head. It was another Yuanying middle-stage ancestor of the Yu family. However, this person was not the most eye-catching. After this Yuanying middle-stage ancestor came out from the crack in space, he moved to the side, making way for the person behind him. It was an old man with white hair and beard. His cold gaze swept across Shi Tianhao, Miao Shihao and the others, and he coldly snorted. Xianmen Tianzong, humph. A shadow flickered above his head, and an illusory figure flew out, instantly turning into a giant that was dozens of feet tall. This giant stood in the air with only one arm, and only one eye on its face. That I was like a water droplet condensed into ice crystals, emitting a powerful force that could freeze the entire world. As soon as the giant appeared, the Kunlun mountain range within a radius of 1,000 miles turned into a world of ice and snow in a split second. However, it was not wrapped in silver, but a dense black mass, causing one's heart to sink. When Xianmen Tianzong and the others saw this scene, their hearts trembled. Miao Shihao softly said, "Heaven and Earth Avatar, late stage Yuanying. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.